Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And today is not just any video because today, November 29th, 2024, I'm probably gonna have to delay this a few weeks, but November 29th, 2024 is my 3-year anniversary on YouTube and the intended release date of this video. So, this is not your normal Pokemon card video because when you're at this setup, that usually means I have some kind of product to open up for all of you. The last recorded video I have is the Surging Sparks Build and Battle Box. That'll be coming out in just a few weeks. But today, we are not opening any product, as I'm sure you've read the title and seen the probably obscene length of this video. You would know that I am showing you every single Pokemon card in my collection. That is why my desk is currently a mess, and that is why I'm able to do this. I can pick you guys up, and I can move you around. So before we even get into any cards, I just want to quickly show all of you this is usually what my recording studio looks like. It is literally just my desk, the very corner of it. I usually use this tripod. This tripod comes from a Stickbot stop motion set, and it works very well for my phone, which I'm currently using, and I'd usually just have the product sitting right here, and I'd have some sort of backdrop in the back. But yes, this is where I film. I use this light. Sometimes in the videos you may notice the light goes off, and that's just essentially because I accidentally hit that. That turns the light from on to slightly on to all the way on, which is what I use for the videos. But today is not about my desk. Today is about that. This, my friends, is my entire Pokemon card collection. Yes, there is a lot. Basically, the way you can differentiate the stuff is if it is in normal pages, like this orange binder right here, that is going to be any bulk cards, commons, uncommons, rares, or reverse holos. Meanwhile, if it's in an Ultra Pro fancy binder like this, that is anything ultra rare or better. I believe holos are also in these kind of binders. So, there's one for every single era up to black and white. I did not collect before black and white because I was not alive for that. Well, I was alive a little bit in Diamond and Pearl, but point stands, this is my entire collection, and I don't expect all of you to sit through it. So what I've done is in the description of this very video, I've put timestamps for every single binder here. Basically, it's going to be separated by bulk, ultra rares per era. So for example, Scarlet and Violet bulk and Scarlet and Violet ultra rares are going to be the first two binders I show you. If you want to skip ahead to see specifically Scarlet and Violet ultra rares in this green binder, Sword and Shield in the purple, or you just want to see a particular set of bulk, i.e. if you want to go back to X and Y bulk, that is also going to be in the description, as well as some weirder binders like these ones on top that may not go with a particular era, but are just kind of cards I like. Essentially, what's going to happen is in the description of this video, as well as bookmarks, if I can get that working, should be timestamps for every single binder. So, in just a moment, we're going to start off by showing you my opened collection of products. So these are not cards, but instead tins, ETBs, coins, pins, figurines, stuff like that. And then from there, we're going to do Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, XY, Vintage, and then some of my alternate art rainbow rares, kind of special cards that don't really go in a particular binder. That's what the tin is. The tin is going to be the last thing I show you today because that is all of my big cards. So again, if you wanted to skip to that, completely get it. But I think I've stalled for long enough. We're going to go ahead and view some opened products first. So the first up on our journey today is going to be showing you this shelf right here. This is basically any of the sealed product I've opened over the years. Basically, it's any tin, Elite Trainer box, collector's chest, pre-release box, anything like that is on this shelf. And why don't we tackle it quickly, piece by piece, shall we? So to start off, we're actually going to go upwards because currently I have a wall shelf at the very top up here, and this is just supposed to be any of my Scarlet and Violet products. Basically, I just ran out of room on the shelf below, so I decided that this wall shelf, it used to be like Funko Pops. Now it's this right now. I just took any of the products I've opened thus far in the Scarlet and Violet era, whether it be on YouTube or off, and put them up on this shelf. You can pause the video if you want to see everything that's up there. So next up, I would like to show you all of my pack artworks, and these are on the side of the shelf right here, and these go all the way up until present day. Surging Sparks over there on my dresser. So the way that these work is I basically open a pack and I keep the empty pack and put it on the shelf as a display piece. You can see it goes all the way down to the floor. I ran out of room over here, so I had to move them to my dresser over there. But I started this when Sword and Shield came out. So any of these XY or Sun and Moon packs right here should be from any of the Sword and Shield products I opened, like Cosmic Eclipse, Burning Shadows, Guardians Rising, anything like that. And this also goes further down into the Sword and Shield era. Don't usually have a method for picking the artworks. Usually like these three right here, the Urshifu, the Zapdos, and the Moltres, I usually just pick the ones that I like the most. But sometimes it just ends up being whichever one I got, like Whimsicott down there or the Gardevoir. Usually it's as simple as, the first couple packs I open is usually the empty pack that I keep on the shelf. Of course, it extends to this shelf also. It's a little bit obscured by the shelf, but we start with Trick or Trade. That came out of like a weird cereal box. I kept that, ending off with Silver Tempest and Crown Zenith, and then of course moving into Scarlet and Violet. We should be caught up to present day with Surging Sparks, and we do have a little bit more room to expand down there. If we take a cheeky peek in here, you can see there's actually a Japanese pack. Yep, right there. That was from a YouTube short I did a while ago. That's still here too. But usually I just take any pack art from each set and put it in here. However, there is a bit of excess. All right, real quick, in this Volcanion tin, yes, there's a Grookey on top. These are all of my extra pack artwork. So I don't save all of my packs, but I do save some of them. So real quick, we got some Hidden Fates. I should have all 4 Hidden Fates in here. Just kidding, there's only 2. Fates Collide, a couple Evolutions in here, Sun and Moon Base, Burning Shadows, what do we got here? Cosmic Eclipse, Sword and Shield, Sword and Shield, Sword and Shield. Couple from Rebel Clash, all 4 of them from Darkness Ablaze. Champion's Path is in here. I didn't actually know I kept those. Vivid Voltage is in here. Vivid Voltage, Shining Fates, all 3 of those. Battle Styles. Chilling Rain, we got some Evolving Skies in here. Fusion Strike, Brilliant Stars. It keeps going. I don't have every set, I don't believe. There's some Astro Radiance, all 4 of those. Pokemon Go, Lost Origin, Trick or Trade. I have a few Trick or Trades in here. 1 Silver Tempest. We skip a few to Obsidian Flames. We got Paradox Rift, Temporal Forces, Twilight Masquerade. Some of these fun packs from these stupid advent calendar, those are in here. And then all of them from that video where I opened one of every card game is in here, like the Lorcana pack, the Magic pack, and the Yu-Gi-Oh pack right there. And then we have Shrouded Fable, and my newest edition, you guys get to see me add these firsthand, is 3 from Surging Sparks. So yeah, that's just a bunch of plastic I keep in a tin. Let's get back to the stuff you actually care about. Starting us off on the actual top shelf, we have all of the Elite Trainer box. They are in no particular order. I believe they were in order at some point, but I kind of messed it up with the Breakpoint one. But I do have 1 from XY Breakpoint, Chilling Rain, that's Darkness Ablaze down there, Vivid Voltage, Shining Fates, Battle Styles, Celebrations, Silver Tempest, Fusion Strike, another Celebrations. I actually opened 2. I got both of them on the same day because it was Christmas. Astro Radiance, and then this right here, as you can see on the top, is Pokemon Go. On top of that, we just have some Mega Blocks. We got this Charizard guy over here, as well as Blastoise on the other side. There's Squirtle with a Pokeball. Inside here is a few, extra coins. Down here is a Ditto, which is actually like a weird rubbery texture. You have Bulbasaur with a leaf plant looking thing, and then Poliwag, which is probably my favorite. Honestly, never cared too much about the Mega Blocks. In here we have this Lost Origin booster box case that I opened on the channel, as well as just one of the Pokemon trading card game rules. In front of it we have the 3 Pokeballs. This was the one that I had a while ago. I did not open on YouTube, but I think it was just before I started opening on YouTube I got that. And then these lovely tins right here I got scammed at, because on the tag of these tins it said copyright 2019, and that each X and Y booster pack contains 10 cards. So I was like, oh my god, these might have evolutions in it or something. Guess what? They didn't. They had Lost Origin and Silver Tempest. So I guess I messed up. There goes $30 I'm not getting back. I didn't even get anything out of the packs. Literally got no hits. So that sucks. I guess I have the Pokeball tins now. Honestly, just throw those things away because they're kind of giving me bad memories. On the first shelf down, we have this weird Pokedex thing, which was like a Goodwill Facebook Marketplace find. It takes batteries, and I've never fed it batteries, so I have no idea what that does. We also have a bunch of tins in here. So this is usually how the shelf would look, but I'm going to take them out so you all can see them. Starting us off, we have the Snorlax tin, which is like a weird half Walgreens tin. You have the Swampert EX tin, the Rayquaza EX tin. You have the Shiny Gyarados EX tin, the Chestnut EX tin, which I believe was the second ever tin I got. The Tapu Koko GX tin, this Lucario tin that I think I got at the same Facebook Marketplace as the Pokedex thing I just showed you, and then Xerneas, which was my first ever tin ever. There's the Zygarde EX tin, the Pikachu Pokemon Go tin, Kyogre EX tin, Mewtwo EX tin, and then a Venusaur EX tin. There's this Raichu GX tin. This one was from Hidden Fates. It wasn't on the shelf. I had to film this later. Now moving here to the outside, I have 3 of the art cards that come in the mini tins. There's the Arboliva and Leafeon. That was on the channel. The Squirtle and Magikarp, which actually was one of the first tins they ever did. And then over here is the Scorbunny tin that I again got scammed at. So that was the final straw. I'm no longer buying product that I believe to have old packs in it, because they never do. And then we have some of these smaller coins. I'm not going to name every one of them. Actually, some of them are pretty dusty. That's because they just sit on the shelf, and they're actually too dark for me to even notice that there's dust on them. But these just go all the way across. They are in no particular order. And then going down a shelf, we have the newer coins, which are the bigger style of coins. And I don't have as many of these. Fluttermane one is really glittery. Not Fluttermane, Screamtail. Sorry, that Screamtail coin is really glittery. It almost looks like Pride with the rainbow colors on there. And yeah, those just go all the way over. There's this weird Pokeball thing. This was like a launcher McDonald's toy. There's a Squirtle and Magikarp mini tin. All of the dice. So every time I get an Elite Trainer box, I do keep the dice. They are all right here, again, in no particular order. I do really miss set symbols just for the dice alone. And then in the back, you have any built-in battle boxes not from the Scarlet and Violet era. So Celestial Storm, Sword and Shield, Darkness Ablaze, and then 2 booster bundles for Lost Origin and Silver Tempest. Also the first booster bundles released, I believe. Above that is some theme decks. So we got Breakthrough, Legendary Battle Decks, Sun and Moon, Sun and Moon. These were kind of just presents. I don't think I ever bought a theme deck. I know that the Noivern one was from my dad. Birthday, I want to say. And the last time I got it was obviously Sun and Moon. I believe they stopped printing them in Sword and Shield though, so RIP theme decks, you will not be missed. Over here, however, this was something I always thought was really cool. This is a Burger King gold toy, but when I got it, I had no idea it was from Burger King. And on the back, it has like somebody's signature on it. So it has a certificate of authenticity, number 39 Jigglypuff, with an official seal of approval. And so apparently this is signed by the chairman of Nintendo. I don't know if that's real or what the case is with it, but I always thought this Jigglypuff was really cool. I believe there should be more in this mini tin right here. I believe if I open this up, yeah, it does. There's a few more of these Burger King gold things that I got from other people. There looks like a Togepi, a Poliwhirl, and then a Pikachu. There's also some of these. These were also gifted to me by somebody. These are like some of those scratchy, you know exactly what I'm talking about, material, where they change picture. There's Weepin' Bell. There's Jolteon. Basically, it's just the Pokemon evolves as you kind of turn your head or turn the thing. There's Geodude into Graveler, Magnemite into Magneton. That's kind of cute. There's a very anime-looking Voltorb and Electrode. And then finally, a Pidgey into Pidgeotto. I bet these are probably for all of them, but I only have these because these are what were given to me. Over here, there's the V-Star marker. There's a Blastoise figurine. This was from the 20th anniversary box. There's Burn and Poison markers from the newer sets. One of these bootleg-looking little Jello Tyranitar guys. I know there's a Lapras around here somewhere. Not exactly sure what that is. There's another mini tin guy. Put it in one of those cool frames they're doing now. There's a Lechonk eraser and a Smoliv eraser. These are pretty cool. I honestly kind of want the other ones too. Just because while they're erasers, they're pretty hefty and they're pretty cool looking. Like in the translation to eraser, they didn't lose any quality. So I'm a big fan of the Smoliv and the Lechonk erasers. In the back is the 25th anniversary celebrations collector's chest that I opened on the channel a few years ago. Here's a weird bootleg looking Pokeball. That's what these Jello looking guys came in. There's the Lapras I was telling you about. There's an extra Eevee VMAX that I opened up 2 Shining Fates Elite Trainer boxes. There's this Darkrai McDonald's toy that was a gift from somebody. It is not empty. I wonder what's inside. Oh, literally nothing. That was generally not worth my time. It's just garbage. But yeah, I quite like the design of it, even if it is just a McDonald's toy. There's also this, which was a Pokemon custom pack I made when I was very young. Roaring Waters. I guess I'm ripping off Capri Sun there. You can see we got some cut up booster pack parts there with Break, and then custom booster pack contains 10 cards and 1 bonus online booster pack. I believe I just cut up a breakpoint pack and stapled that together. And yeah, cards do actually fit inside of there. If I wanted to, it could actually work. On the bottom shelf, we have a lot more tins. We also have some figurines. We have a Raichu, a little tiny Nidoking, Gibble. The Gibble and the Totodile over here I got on super clearance for like $1 at Walgreens one time, which was pretty cool. A Blastoise and a Groudon, a Blossom and an Oddish. So basically any of the figurines that I like, because they're some of my favorites. There's another V-Star marker down here, and this is like a metal. You hear that? It's like pure metal. This is a really high quality thing. GX Tag Team marker that came in the Snorlax tin. And speaking of tins, we have Tyranitar. There's the destroyed Miraidon tin because it wouldn't fit on the shelf above. There's a Grookey tin, an Espeon tin. There's the Hisuian Samurott tin, the Pikachu tin, the Shiny Eldegoss tin, the Hisuian Decidueye tin. There's the Moltres tin, the Gallade tin, the Articuno tin, and the Snorlax and Eevee tin. There is a Galarian Zapdos tin, because I obviously opened on the channel. That is currently in my extra box because I needed more room. I will show you that briefly in just a moment, but that does wrap up our shelf here. I have another shelf I'd like to show you real quick, and then just some miscellaneous figures, which you'll see right now, because this is kind of my plushie shelf right here. On the side, we have 4 jumbo cards that didn't really fit in the jumbo binder they did recently. There's the Aurora CX, the Kingdra EX, the Magikarp and Wailord GX, as well as a Gengar EX. Now here is my shelf of stuffed animals that I really like. Most of these are Pokemon, but there's like some Peeps. There's Freddy Fazbear right there. There's like a Terraria skull and a Minecraft squid. But in here, there should be Pokemon like this Wiglet, this Bulbasaur that has just an awful texture to it. It was a gift, so I won't complain, but it just feels awful to the touch. There's Banette, this fluffy little Chikorita that actually can fold in its legs, which is kind of strange. Diglett, we got 3 cards in the middle. Obviously, that's my boy. That's the Lotad. That's the channel artwork. And the Dugtrio from Evolutions. There's a Rowlet and a Pikachu. This is a weird Pikachu that I was gifted. It's like a wind-up, so if you listen, it like vibrates. It's so weird. I don't know, but I kind of like him because he's fat and cute. There's the Cubchoo plush, a Pikachu that skinned Eevee alive, a Squirtle, a Pikachu holding a Pokepuff, Among Us, there's Chespin, there's Statue of Liberty Pikachu that I got in New York. If you're running what the unknown say, it's Unova, because it's inspired by New York. There's a Sitting Cuties Vileplume and old school Ivysaur, Sitting Cuties Porygon Z. There's this big old Gengar up top I got from Toys R Us when that was around here in the US. There's a Raichu in the back, you might just be able to see him. Badoo is one of my favorite stupid looking guys I have. And then, of course, a Poliwag also. Over here on my dresser, there's this cute little Leafeon Eevee Heroes toy, which I always quite liked. There's this big old Blastoise plush I just found in my closet. In my closet, up here with the board games, we have a game of Pokemon Sorry and Pokemon Monopoly. I have this Capri Sun Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl giveaway Pacific cooler box, which might just be the strangest thing I have in my closet. There's this Pokemon cereal box, which was a Christmas gift one year. I actually ate all the cereal inside, and it was not very good. On my desk over here, we have a few Nano Block guys. These are some of my favorite things to get for Christmas, especially the bigger ones like the Raikou and the Suicune in the back. I just love building these. Honestly, they're so much fun. The Charizard is the one that took the most work and is honestly probably my favorite. I love these guys so much because they're like the sprites from Fire Red and Leaf Green. I'll put one on screen right now. And I don't know, it's just something about it is so similar to those. It's honestly really cool to me. Over in the amiibos, there is a few Pokemon amiibos. There's the Charizard, Pokemon Trainer, and Squirtle, as well as a Pikachu down here. I do own a Pokemon book. This is the Pokemon Deluxe Essential Handbook. I got this at a book fair in elementary school. Basically, it's alphabetically sorted and you get simple Pokedex information on every Pokemon up to Gen 6, I do believe. Let's see if I can find a Gen 6 Pokemon. Yep, I just saw Greninja. So this only goes up to Gen 6, but I had some good memories with me and my brother quizzing each other on like Pokedex entries, types, stuff like that. So yeah, this book, not the best. It's okay, but I have some good memories with it, so of course I like it. This Vans box might just be the least interesting thing I show you today, because on the inside, it is probably the 2 least interesting things. It is energy cards, all of which are sorted by type and release date. You can see there's some water energies in there, there's fire, stuff like that, and these are just code cards. And they are sorted by what type they are. So these are like the old school green white code cards, these are the old school green code cards, and then these are the newer TCG Live ones, both the black ones and the white ones. And then these are any of like the tins or Elite Trainer boxes I've opened. And just because you're so nice, here is a code card for a single strike Urshifu V-Box. Pretty sure I've given that one away before, but if you haven't got it, there you go. This box is all doubles. They are all sorted by set. I'm not going through all of those right now. If I had to pull one out randomly, it's probably some kind of Sword and Shield card. It is not. It is a Clauncher from Steam Siege. This box is basically doubles continued because these are where I put all the new ones that I get. So these are from Crown Zenith onwards. These are all the hollow or better doubles I have. And then it just goes here to, what is that, Shrouded Fable. Here's probably Twilight Masquerade. Yeah, basically these are all the doubles from the Scarlet and Violet era. Hey, Zapdos Tin, what are you doing in there? And up here is a very cool Swooloo and Pikachu snow globe that I got for Christmas one year.
And I got all these pins.
Alright, welcome to the section where we're going over the Pokemon cards, which I know is the one that most of you are looking forward to. Essentially, the bulk cards are going to be in a binder like this, and I define bulk as anything worse than a holo, and they're just sorted by set. So I'll go ahead and open this up for you. Before I do that, though, I have some stickers on it. I have cute little Snom from the holiday calendar that I opened up. This is a Fluttermane from the recent collector's tin that I already showed you. The Arceus is from the first video I did on the channel. That's the spring 2022 collector's chest, and then the Vulpix is also from the calendar. There's also this like Pikachu tail that's kind of folding over a little bit. That's all right. Also, this binder's pretty old. It has a really old drawing on it of Pokemon trading cards. I don't even know when I made this, just like a bite taken out of the paper or something. This was with one of those king-sized markers, that's why it looks the way it does. But actually on the other binders you're going to see, I kind of tried to recreate this with the same style. I don't know what's going on with the Pokeball in front of that. But this has also remained on the front of this binder because this was not the original, but I believe the second ever binder I got for Pokemon cards. I'm pretty sure it was when my brother got out of like third grade and he was like, here's my school binder, and ever since then it's been my one of my binders that I've kept in my closet, and I pulled it out for Scarlet and Violet. But I think I've rambled on for long enough, because if we open up, you can see that we start off with Scarlet and Violet. Now for the Scarlet and Violet era, I do not own every single card, so I can already tell you, looking at this, I'm missing most of these in reverse holo form. Only Shroomish and Skiddo are reverse holos. Basically, if I get a new reverse holo, I'll just sub it out for the old one, or just put it in altogether if I get one. But the way this is organized, it's by set and set number. So this first page is entirely Scarlet and Violet base set, and it just goes in Pokedex order, which is how they're organized in the set also. And yeah, it just goes through every single set. If there's any card in particular I'm really passionate about, I will talk about that. That's going to be more of an issue for the Sword and Shield and prior eras, because honestly I don't really have much opinion on some of these bulk cards because they haven't been around for long enough. There's my boy Rowlet and Dartrix. We're on Obsidian Flames now, but like these cards haven't been around long enough for me to be like, wow, you remember that Smoliv card? Oh, such memories. Nope, they're just kind of existing. That Scovillain is a reverse rare, I know that. I did actually, so I don't open a lot of 151, but what I decided to do is, since they're just so cheap and I'm not opening a 151 anymore, I just bought them all. So I do actually have the complete set of 151 cards that don't include holos or EXs or anything better than that. This is just straight up 151 all the way through. I made sure I got all of the commons and uncommons from the set, just because why not? Most of them were literally like a cent to like 10 cents each. So why not complete the binder, right? With the 151 cards. We have Paradox Rift with some interesting Pokemon. I feel like they just love printing Bound, Sweet, and Steamy for some reason. I also feel like a lot of Gen 9 Pokemon kind of just get the short end of the stick so far. This is, what, Temporal Forces? I always like that Turtwig card, actually. The Toad Scroll's kind of cool, too. Oh, and I do like the Deerling. Alright, so there's some cards I do like. Excuse me for saying, oh, all of these are not nostalgic or anything. But then I look at a page like this. This is like Twilight Masquerade, and I'm like, yeah, these are all fine. I think the Thwacky's kind of cute, but other than that, they're all just okay. I love the reverse holos they did in Shrouded Fable. I think it adds such a interesting amount of depth to the binder. And then, yeah, we go all the way up through the Surging Sparks. Wo-Chien is the most recent card I have for Grass right now. The most recent product I have opened as of filming this was the Magneton 3-pack blister. And I know I'm going to be opening up the build in Battle Box really soon, so this binder is bound to change almost immediately. However, the Sword and Shield and before ones should be about the same forever. So you know what? Maybe I'll update this one day. I do know I have a pile of cards to put away. I completely forgot about 4 grass-type cards that need to go in the binder. So if any of you were wondering where the Twilight Masquerade, Tangela, Ariados, Bounsweet, or Masquerain was, I own them. They're just not in the binder yet. They're just sitting over here for now because I haven't gotten around to it. But we move on to fire types, which tend to be some of my favorite looking cards. I always prefer the types that have less Pokemon cards in it. Like fire's only fire type Pokemon, while grass is like grass and bug, just because I feel like it's such a smaller pool of Pokemon to pick from that they're always cooler looking. Like fire types are only fire type Pokemon. Big fan of the Entei card. I know that's a holo usually, but I still like it. So yeah, I just feel like all these cards are pretty cool looking, and most of them, shocker, involve fire of some kind. There's a few weird cards in here, like this Iron Moth. If you remember back to the pre-release box I opened, a lot of holo cards sometimes come in this non-holo form. Chiyu too also. So there might be a few of those in here. If you look at them and say, hey, that card is weird, that should usually be a holo. That's why. We're at like Paldean Fates, Temporal Forces, like that Victini quite a bit. This binder does go through every single type, and this is the same way that all of the binders are organized, by the way, so like Water's here. They just go through every single type in the card game, all the way to normal at the end. Weirdly enough, trainers are separate just because they're kind of different. They don't really have Pokemon on it, so it's just a little bit strange. But for the most part, all these binders are going to be Grass, Fire, Water, Electric, Psychics, Fighting, Dark, Steel, Dragon, Normal. That should be exactly how they're organized. I know some of them switched around Dark and Steel. Just ignore that. And yeah, here we have a few. There's a lot of Wug trios. Big fan of that. There's my boy Squirtle Wartortle. Again, there's a lot of water types in Gen 1, so this entire page is 151, both the left and the right side. So most of all of these should have been purchased. I know I had the Poliwrath, and then any of the reverse holos like the Dugong or the Horsey I definitely opened, but for the most part, I would assume if it's from 151, I probably purchased it afterwards. And here is a perfect example of I don't own every card. So for example, this is what? Paradox Rift, Horsey, Kingdra. I don't own the Seadra, and whether I will or will not is a genuine mystery. But for right now, it just goes Horsey, Kingdra. You can see it over here too. Vanillite, Vanillux. There is no Vanilla-ish. Just goes straight from basic to stage 3. So again, I don't have a perfect collection yet, and honestly, I kind of like it more when it's not perfect. For Sword and Shield, just like I did for 151, I started buying a lot more of the cards, so most of that should be pretty complete. That Palafin's actually really cool. I never really paid much attention to that one. But as for Scarlet and Violet, this is literally, again, aside from 151, only cards I've opened. I love that Clay Froakie, too. That's from, what, Twilight Masquerade? Nice to see Tortuga and Caracosta in a set. Been, what, 10 years since they were featured beforehand. But yep, this also goes to Surging Sparks. I actually don't own any Surging Sparks water types yet, which is surprising, because this is definitely the most abundant type we have. But Electricity is another one of my favorites. I love that Flaffy. That Flaffy is so cute. The Pachirisu is also pretty cool, though. A lot of Palmies, a lot of Pikachus. They love printing Pikachus. If you've seen my Pokemon card Pokedex series, I have like almost 40 Pikachu cards total, which, if you think about it, is kind of nuts, because that's a lot. I do love that Belly Bolt where he's kind of like flattened too. That's pretty cute. Clay Magneton, Clay Magnemite, that's always classic. Loved in 151 how they had the same artist on both evolution lines, because that just made it so clean and coherent the whole time. There's Pikachu and Raichu again. They're going to be here a lot. Pikachu again. Yeah, I just loved how they did the coherency, because sometimes we look at Chinchou and Lantern. Actually, they might be the same. They might just do that for every set. I don't know. I might just be talking on my butt right now. Iron Hand's another example of the non-holo, usually holo cards. And then Magneton, so far, is the only card I have from Surging Sparks. The rest of these are all Stellar Crown. But we move on to Psychic. Again, don't have Drowsy. Just don't have the Scarlet and Violet Drowsy whatsoever. So it just starts off with Hypno. Again, don't have Drifloon. I have the Halloween Drifloon, but I don't have the regular one. 2 did NAs, because 1 wasn't enough. And you can just see that the regular holo cards are just scattered out throughout the binder. Cleffa, I'm really glad they're printing the babies again, because I feel like the babies really need more cards, despite how stupid and dumb most of those Pokemon are. Love Espeon, love that card. That Griever's pretty cute. Sinistea with the teacups. I'm a big Sinistea fan, so of course I like that. Here's all the 151 cards. I don't have Abra. I have the Holo Abra, the Galaxy Foil Abra, but I apparently don't have the normal one. I did not notice that at all. But yep, all of the other 151 cards should be here, all the way up to Hypno. I believe stuff like Mr. Mime is a holo in the set. I do own it, just not in here. And then this is, what, Paradox Rift, a lot of Tinkatinks in a row. Into Paldean Fates. I have so many Paldean Fates cards. I don't know if you guys can relate, but just opening like an ETB was enough to get all of the cards I needed. So when I opened up the 2 tins afterwards, I just have so many doubles of all of these Paldean Fates cards. It's kind of crazy. Same thing with Shining Fates. They should make those sets bigger because I always have just a crap ton of duplicates for them. But we have Meryl, Azumarill, Bronzor. I like that Solosis quite a bit, actually. And then you can see that there's the past and future Pokemon in here, mixed in with the regular ones, because why would I separate them? They're basically bulk cards. The first Abra, or sorry, not Abra, the first Kadabra printed in a long time. There's Florges, Sandygast. You can definitely tell as we go along, we get to sets like Twilight Masquerade, and I'm missing a lot more cards from the newer sets than the older ones, simply because I just haven't had enough time to open all of the new sets yet, especially compared to just how much of the old sets I opened. So yeah, of course they're going to have less cards in them, but we go on to Fighting type. I genuinely love when all 3 cards fit in a row like this. It always doesn't happen that way, like Sandile, Krokorok, and then Crocodile's back here. But Mankey, Primeape, Annihilate right in a row, right at the start, is really satisfying, even though I am missing Meditite, but we can look past that. But yeah, a lot of cool ones here. A lot of strange cards. Like, you didn't think they would print Silicobra and Sandaconda and Scarlet Violet base set, but I guess I didn't make the cards, right? Toxicroak. Love me Croagunk, Toxicroak. Those are some of my favorite Pokemon. Speaking of favorite Pokemon, Diglett. Not my favorite Diglett art, but it's a Diglett nonetheless. We go on to, what is this, Obsidian Flames. Probably my most open Scarlet Violet set, into 151. Again, I don't have the regular Doug Trio. That's because he's in the special card binder. But I do own him. Don't worry, I wasn't lying. And then it goes through the Machoke line, the Geodude line, Cubone, Hitmons. I really like that Hitmonchan card, actually. Into Gibble, Gabite, a few more Nackleys, Flamigo. Hate that stupid dumb bird so much. But I'm not going to like get rid of the card or anything. Weirdly enough, the exact same Mankey, Primeape, Annihilate as Scarlet Violet base set. I don't think I ever noticed that before. Just a lot of alright artworks here. I do like that Golett quite a bit. Roly-Poly, no Carkol, as of right now. We have some great Tusks, some Sandy Shocks, a lot of ancient Pokemon in a row. We got some Conkeldurr. Don't even have the Tambour or the Girder, just the Conkeldurr. Hawlucha from the Moon's kind of cool. Croagunk's kind of cool. I don't have a Toxicroak in here for some reason. I definitely have a duplicate of that. And then, yep, this should be Stellar Crown. And I don't have any Surging Sparks for fighting either. Just the Koraidon from Stellar Crown. Onto Dark. Pretty normal. Mastiff, Mabostiff, Pawniard. That's Sawwow. I do have Sawwow cards separate just because of how much I love the art style on them. But if I have an extra of them, like I do with that Pawniard, they would go in just the normal binder also. A couple Whoopers. We have Dinos, Wyless, and Hydreigon, all in reverse holo form. Pretty cool. It is extremely hard to see some of these reverse holos. Like, I bet you can't even see that this is reverse holo. It's pretty hard to see. Especially if this light here wasn't on, it would be almost impossible. But we got more Whoopers. I do really like that Whooper. I think he's kind of cute. Umbreon to match the Espeon, of course. A very sinister looking Malamar. There's a hair in there. That's going to bother me. And then, of course, the 151. Guys, honestly, for Dark, I don't really care for any of these artworks that much. I think Dark might be the weakest type for 151. Yeah, the coughing's alright. And then they immediately printed Zubat line again in the next set, which kind of throws me off. But we have Sad Ghastly, which is always one of my favorite because he looks just so sad. That's from Paldean Fates, I believe. But we also have 2 Poochyenas in a row, because that's from Temporal Forces, and that's from Twilight Masquerade, and for some reason they go right next to each other, which is very strange and throws off my OCD. I don't know how I feel about that. No Venipede, but Whirlipede, Scolipede, Zubat, Golbat, Crobat. This is Shrouded Fable, I believe. Not the starting after the Brute Bonnet. So Zubat through Malamar, Shrouded Fable. None of those are reverse holos. I could have sworn I had some. You've Gulpin these nuts, Yveltal, and then Morgrem, which is a lame final Pokemon, but it's the one we have. Moving on to Steel. This is only, what, Oh, no, it's grown. It's 3 pages. I believe in Sun and Moon, I struggled to fill up a whole page front and back with still cards. Because Sun and Moon was definitely my weakest era. I like the Bronzor and the Snow. I don't really have a lot to say about most of these Pokemon. I do like how the reverse Steel Pokemon look. I think they definitely add something to the cards, as opposed to most other types. But yeah, these guys are pretty cool. I like King Gambit. And I do like the Q-Fan from Shrouded Fable. I think that guy's kind of cool. But again, you can kind of see the incomplete sets, i.e. there's no Lairon or Aeron. It's just Aggron. Don't even know what set that's from. That's from Twilight Masquerade. Over here, you got Double Meltan and then Bronzor from the newest set. I swear Bronzor is the most common Steel-type Pokemon they print. I believe there's already 2 printed in Scarlet and Violet. But in terms of, like, just sheerly the Steel-type Pokemon they love printing the most, I would genuinely put my hat in for Bronzor because they print so many Bronzors. But we have Dragon-type Pokemon. These weren't brought back until, like, Obsidian Flames, right? These just fit in a page. I have exactly 18 Dragon-type Pokemon. I love that Dragonair from 151. I do like how Dratini Dragonair right on top of each other. That's kind of cute. And then that's just the same Noibat. Sometimes reprints really bother me, but I include both of them in here anyway, because why wouldn't I? And then we have the Reign of Applin, Diplin, Applin. There's a Grass-type Applin. There's a Grass-type Diplin. It's just, I get he's the new Pokemon in the DLC, but my god, they went crazy with Applin and Diplin, including the new set. This guy's from Surging Sparks. Moving on to the final type for our bulk section of Scarlet and Violet, we have Double Zangoose, Clay Starly, the 3 pigs. There should be a female pig somewhere, too. Cyclizar, I actually quite like that Cyclizar artwork. Dunsparce drinking from water, Flamigo doing a little dance, Flamigo being stupid over there too. Slacking, that looks like he got hit in the head with a rock and is now suffering concussion. A lot of just alright cards. You get the whole Lillipup line, the Bunnelby line. Just kidding, there's no Diggersby, I lied to your face. Another Lechonk, this one's freaky. More pigs, because we needed more pigs in my life. More stupid Flamigos, because we needed those. And the only, hear me out, the only 151 Pokemon I'm truly missing, not including Dugtrio or Abra, if we really want to get technical, I am technically missing those two, is Pidgey. Nobody online is selling Pidgey. Why? At least nobody that I can buy in bulk from. So this is a PSA. If you are a TCG player, start selling your Pidgeys, because I might be the only person that would actually buy it. But again, a lot of normal types in Gen 1, those go all the way through, all the way to Snorlax. Porygon, I quite like that Porygon 2 artwork, actually. I know Porygon's used a holo in that set. No Loudred, but again, there's still time to change that. Here's all the reprints from Paldean Fates, who cares? Pretty cool Hoot. Some alright Pokemon here. I quite like the colors on the Ducklet over here. And this is what, the last page right here. Cool Meowth, cool Persian. Lechonk, that's like the 17th Lechonk I've seen. And that should be it, right? Yep, we end with the weird-looking Mousehold. So next up, this is the Scarlet and Violet Holo or Better cards. So inside is any Holo card, any Reverse Holo Rare card I really liked, which is only a very few select amount of cards. Any EX Full Art, A-Spec, Full Art Trainer. Basically, the only thing not in here is any Illustration Rares or Alternate Arts. This is just straight up the ultra rare final card on the pack side of Scarlet and Violet. And I keep it in a nice Ultra Pro binder, just like all of the other eras. This one is green, because it was, at the time, the only color I didn't have that was below $15. And we open up, and you can see that every single holo card I own is in a sleeve. These are all from Scarlet and Violet, and I know I have been on record saying that I hate collecting holo cards now that they're in every pack, but I still do it. So in a way, I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite, and this is going to have to be held open most of the time. But this just goes through every single Scarlet and Violet set. This is basically the card on the very end of the pack. Here's the 151 cards that I told you I bought all of in advance. If you watched the bulk part, if you didn't, listen, I get it. But I did buy all of these 151 cards just because I can, right? Why not collect them while they're cheap? And that goes all the way through Mewtwo. That goes all the way through Mewtwo. And then I have 3 of these special holo energies. I can actually show you these. These have a very specific holo pattern to them that is specific to 151. Unlike the ones that we got in Shrouded Fable, and then before that, Crown Zenith, anything like that. Those are pretty different. But yeah, the reason that Flareon's not here is because I like Flareon. So Flareon, as well as Vileplume, if any of you keen-eyed viewers noticed that, are in my special Cards I Like binder, which I will, of course, show you later. But we move on to, Paradox Rift, and for most of these cards, let's be real, you've seen basically all of these cards at one point in the past, so there's nothing too terribly special about most of these. I mean, I like any of the, the Paradox ones. If I flip the page again... Okay, if I actually flip the page correctly, you're going to see that I actually like collecting the reverse holo future and ancient Pokemon more. I'm going to take this out of the sleeve just to show you. Just because of how cool they look. This reminds me of like black and white era reverse holos where they cover the whole card and there's no weird pattern on it. But if you look, you can see that there's kind of a very glossy pattern. And honestly, I kind of prefer it over stuff like the Iron Valiant. That's why there's two Roaring Moons, because one is a holo, one is a reverse holo rare, but like with the Screamtail, these are cards I just love. Again, Iron Treads is another example of that. I love the matching sets of holos like Koraidon and Miraidon, but basically, these are first come, first serve. I don't really switch them out for better condition ones or anything like that. But yeah, most of these are first come, first serve. So this Okidoki, I believe, was the first ever Twilight Masquerade? Yeah, Twilight Masquerade card I ever pulled. Holo I ever pulled, sorry. So that was the first one that ended up going in the binder. It's the same for all these other ones. That's the first Zapdos I ever pulled. That's the first Fezandipiti. That's the first Alakazam. Basically, the first ever holo I get of a certain card, I just put it right in the binder. In order, again, all of these are sorted by set, just like the bulk cards from the set. We move on to our newest two holos. If you remember the 3-pack blister opening, which should be, assuming my upload schedule didn't get funky again, the most recent Pokemon card opening on my channel. These are the two holos I pulled. I know there's one missing. You'll see that one in a second. If you didn't watch that video, spoilers, I got a hit in one of them, so I only got two holos. But these are all from Stellar Crown. There's only 4. 5. There's 5. Kling-Klang's part of that. That's the Kling-Klang I got with the Terapagos. That was a interesting video. And then there's obviously the energies from Shredded Fable. I'll show you these. These have a different reverse holo pattern. It's very similar to, if not exactly the same, as the reverse holo pattern from the set. I left a page or two empty to hopefully expand my holos into it, and then we get into the meat and potatoes, right? These 9 cards are all promos. All 9 EXs here are promos. The only one I did not open on the channel, actually the only 2, is the Cyclizar EX, which I opened with my brother, and then the Walking Wake EX that came on the front of the tin. If you're wondering about the Mimikyu, the Miraidon, Koraidon, that was a good opening. Annihilate, Zapdos, Alakazam, Iron Valiant. No, I didn't open that one. These 3 I did not open on the channel. If you're wondering about these 5 in the shape of a number 4, I opened those on the channel. That I just bought from GameStop one day as a box. Sorry to lie to you, I guess. But yeah, these 9 are all promos. Actually, the promos extend onto the next page, because as you can see, Iron Crown is the newest promo I got from the Iron Crown tin. I know, shocker. And then we move on to just the regular EXs. Speed Round, Magnezone EX. I got on Christmas out of a Meowscarada EX tin. The Oinkologne EX was from the holiday calendar. The Iron Treads was the first thing I ever opened out of the Crown Building Battle Box. That was out of my Paldea Evolved ETB. That was on the end of the Quaquaval pack, the one with the alternate in it from the Paldea Evolved Building Battle Box opening. That was from the opening where I opened up one of every card pack. I don't even remember Glamora. That was from the same Meowscarada EX tin as the Magnezone that I got on Christmas for my brother. That was from the Zapdos EX 151 box. That was from the Walking Wake EX tin, the card that was right here. That was one of the hits I got out of that. That's from my Paldean Fates Elite Trainer box. That one I bought to complete the set, kinda. That one I got out of a Great Tusk tin. That was the same one I got the Wugtree out of, the video I did with my friends. That one I bought, that one I bought, that one I bought, that one I bought. These I bought separately just because, you know, they come good with bundles. That one came in the Temporal Forces Elite Trainer box, I believe. That one I bought. That one came in the same tin as the, this card. The Iron Leaves tin. No, the Walking Wake tin. My apologies. The Luxray X came in the first 3-pack blister I opened of Twilight Masquerade My Brother. That one came from a 1-pack from Walmart. I love that card. That's such a beautiful artwork. That one came from my Twilight Masquerade Build and Battle box. That was from the Paradox Rift Build and Battle box. That was from the Paladin Fates Elite Trainer box. That one I purchased. That one was from... What were you from? That was from the same tin as... That was from the same thing as Lexray. That was from my 3-pack blister from Twilight Masquerade. That was the promo on the front of the Armor Rouge EX box. That was also from a 1-pack from Walmart. That was from a 1-pack from GameStop. That was from my Paldea Evolve Build and Battle box. That was some Obsidian Flames packs I had on Christmas last year. That was from my Temporal Forces Elite Trainer box. That was from the same tin as the what is it called? The Walking Wake tin. I think I went 4 for 5 on that tin. There's a full art trainer I got from that too. That is from the Twilight Masquerade Build and Battle box. These cards are really cool. I love these cards as a change of pace. The Gyarados I also got from that video where I opened up one of every Scarlet and Violet era pack. That one I pulled on Christmas, same Obsidian Flames pack as the Rev of Room. I also believe the Glomora was from those same packs. The Tyranitar EX. You're wondering, wasn't this your most wanted card? Yeah. So one of those times I opened packs with my brother, I believe it was when I got the Walking Wake tin, he got the Iron Leaves one, and there's 2 Obsidian Flames packs in those, and I said, man, you know what my most wanted card is? That Tyranitar Electricity Terra card. And he pulled it! In the same pack, I pulled an Absol EX Full Art from Obsidian Flames, and I just said, you want to trade? And he said, whoa, I know that's the card you want. So I gave him, like, a few holos, too. But I have it. I didn't pull it, but I have my chase card from Obsidian Flames. Go me. That was not on camera before, I don't believe. That was from the Paradox Rift ETB I opened. That was from the Iron Valiant box. That was from the Stellar Crown 3-pack blister. This is the newest card I own. I'll show this one off to you guys. This is from the Surging Sparks 3-pack blister, the most recent video on the channel. I really love these cards. I don't think I said it enough in the videos they're from. These are beautiful. These way top the non-stellar versions of them. I still like those ones, but I just think these are a lot better. The Clavel was from a 1-pack from Michael's, the craft store. That was from my Paldea Evolved ETB. This is not the alternate art one. This is just the regular Iona from the set. Honestly, I think I kind of like the regular one more, but I think the other one is admittedly more cool. That was from the Alakazam EX box. That one I bought. That was from the Great Tusk EX tin. That one of these, I don't really remember which one. They're like the same card. One of them I bought. The other was from my Paldean Fates Elite Trainer box, and that was from the same tin as the Walking Wake tin. That was one I went 4 for 5 on. The Ace specs, I don't remember. I like the Master Ball. That's like a $30 card. At least it was when Temporal Forces came out. That one seems like it sucks. That one's just like at 100 HP. And then the final 2 cards, I don't remember where they came from. That one's Shrouded Fable, so it had to be like the King Gambit box or something. And then Secret Box. It was like an obsession for a while where I had to pull A-Spec Trainer cards from every pack. I believe... Okay, there's more. So if I flip this page, these are all of my Halloween cards. Yeah, I ran out of room in my other binder. So most of these Halloween cards ended up in here. I do not have any of the cards from the most recent one, the 2024 Trick or Trade Booster Bundle. Honestly, I don't really have a motivation to. I don't even know why I got the 2023 one, to be honest. It was cool for 2022 when I opened it on the channel, but I don't really care about these Halloween cards anymore. But yeah, the main point is these EXs and full arts. I love most of these full arts. Didn't really get to comment on that. I actually got both the Iron Leaves and Iron Crown. Really tempted to buy that Iron Boulder just to complete the set. And I love the pink on the Blissey. But other than that, pretty straightforward. I think these cards are beautiful, but you've seen them all before. Some of the trainers, some of the ace specs. Why don't we go ahead and move on to some good old-fashioned Sword and Shield. Okay, so second on our list today, we're going to be going through the Sword and Shield cards. Of course, we're going to be doing the same thing we just did with Scarlet and Violet, where we're going to go through all the bulk cards, and then we're going to go ahead and go through all of the ultra rares and holos, and anything that's just straight up better than a bulk card. And the interesting thing, first of all, look at my beautiful stickers. Second of all, the interesting part about the Sword and Shield era is I should own most, if not all, of these cards. So the reason I'm going to go pretty fast, I do like the Yarn Metapod, is because for any set past Rebel Clash, which is the second one, I should own almost every other card. And that is because right now, as we speak, these cards are basically dirt cheap. So what I like to do is go online, buy maybe 1 or 2 ultra rare cards that I really like the look of, and just see if those sellers also happen to have any bulk for, less than 5 cents a piece. And I just go through my checklists of each set and see which ones I'm missing. And we get to the point I'm at now, where I have almost every card from Rebel Clash onwards, so starting with Darkness Ablaze and going forwards, I should have every single common, uncommon, and rare. I am missing some of the holo cards, and obviously I don't have every single reverse holo rare. Like, I have Hisuian Lilligant, Oddish, and Parasect, but I don't have every card as a reverse holo. But for the most part, I should have every single bulk card, again from past Rebel Clash, because I don't really shop for the earlier Sword and Shield sets, because for some reason, they are a lot harder to find online. But we're going through grass already. We're going on to fire, which is a pretty uncommon type. That Sizzlipede was one I always remember getting a lot of when Sword and Shield came out. Probably still my favorite Sword and Shield set was the base one. I just have a lot of memories with that one. If I didn't have a card, but I had the Halloween version of it, I'd put that in here, like the Lampent from Rebel Clash. There's the Clay Torchic, there's Galarian Darmanitan Fire. I really like Fire because from the appearance of it, it looks like every evolution line is in a row, and that just satisfies my OCD because it's so nice just to have like Scorbunny and Reboot in a row, Litleo and Pyroar in a row, Vulpix should be on the next page, yep, Vulpix, Growlithe, Arcanine. It's just so nice to see all these cards in a row. For some reason, Fusion Strike had 2 Sizzlipedes and 2 Centiskorches. Don't know why. I always like that heat more too for some reason. We got some more Litwicks. I feel like for Fire, there's a lot of cards they like to print a lot of, and I feel like Litwick, maybe Slugma, Torkoal, Vulpix, Arcanine are some of the more common ones. You can also see I don't own every single card because I don't have both the Ninetales from Silver Tempest and the Growlithe from also Silver Tempest. But I do have some weird ones, like I have a reverse holo Entei that's usually a holo rare, and yeah, stuff like that. Moving on to the water type, which is probably the most abundant type we have. For some reason, they just love printing water type cards. I always love that Magikarp from Rebel Clash because it almost looks like this is the Pokemon Smile Pikachu, which was that weird like dentist game they had. And then the Inteleon is another example of some build and battle box exclusives where it's usually a holo, but in this case it's a non-holo. But again, just like the other sets, this should be basically complete. And because there's just so many water and ice type Pokemon, it is also the largest section any of these binders are going to have today. Aside from maybe like ultra rares, if you count that. That's a cool Cloyster card. I feel like Cloyster always gets cool card. But yeah, this is definitely the biggest type. Like, we're only on Brilliant Stars so far. We're on like Piplup. There's Oshawott and Duat. Samurot's not here because it's the Hisuian Samurott, which is usually a dark type. But if you really want to see most of these Sword and Shield cards, go ahead and just slow down the video a little bit. Because other than maybe Scarlet and Violet, I don't have a lot to say about most of these cards. I do like any of the ones from the Lost Zone just because they have the cool pattern around it. But for the most part, most of these cards are fairly standard. I haven't had quite a connection to these cards yet just because they haven't sat with me for long enough. As things get older, the more people tend to like them, look back on them fondly. And for me, Sword and Shield isn't quite there yet. It's pretty close. Like, early Sword and Shield I have a lot of nostalgia for, but like Shining Fates onwards is still too new for me to be like, oh yeah, remember Evolving Skies? I mean, everybody does. That's like $1,000 set. But I'm not like nostalgic for Evolving Skies yet, or Fusion Strike, or Brilliant Stars, or anything like that. I do like that Shinx line is in a row. They also love printing the Shinx line. Jesus, there is so many Shinxes in the Sword and Shield era for no reason. Literally, look, this page is almost full of them. There's 6. Why? What's your obsession with printing Shinx of all guys? I don't know. It's just something I noticed. And then Pokemon like Munna, granted I get it, it is Munna, just don't get a lot of spotlight, right? I think that Jigglypuff's pretty cute. Honestly, most of the cards from Darkness Ablaze, I probably pulled myself just because, I opened a lot of Darkness Ablaze. That and like Obsidian Flames, I feel like the obligatory Charizard sets are always a bit popular for me to open. I just feel like I open a metric crap ton of them all the time because they just put them in everything. Obsidian Flames is just in every product now, and it drives me bonkers sometimes. That's a cool Meloetta. There's Munna again, so I guess, joke's on you, Munna got printed again. Fusion Strike, I feel like Fusion Strike had a lot of Psychic cards for some reason. That's a cool looking Kirlia. That's one of the Halloween cards, that Miss Mages right there. We got the Lake Spirits. I believe Mesprit is a holo, so that's why they're not in here. Reverse Holo Sylveon from Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go was a thing for a while. That was actually like one of the most viewed videos on my channel, was the Pokemon Go Elite Trainer box opening, I believe, which is pretty cool. It was also one that I did pretty well in, so I'm glad that's the one you guys decided to watch. We got the Hitmonlee and the Hitmonchan. These two were in the TCG Classic. Both of them were, but for some reason I only picked up the Hitmonchan. So when I show you that binder later, it is literally just the Hitmonchan and no Hitmonlee. And it kind of bothers me. Diglett! Oh my god, guys. This is genuinely one of my favorite cards ever. You're going to see him again in a later because I do kind of have a Diglett binder. But I love this artwork because it's the area from the game with the Diglett statues. I took so many Switch screenshots with that thing. Oh my god, that was a highlight of Sword and Shield for me, was that freaking Diglett statue. And I'm so glad I got a card somewhere. This is some nice OCD going on right here. I like Wooper in the bath. We got Mankey, Primeape. Here's with the single style, rapid style crap they were doing for a while. I didn't really care about it. Like, you could see them right to back. Like, the only difference is sometimes they would have water or just red marks in the art artwork, and that was really the only difference between strong style and rapid style. If you don't get into the actual game itself, I see you do it. Really, the only difference is just slightly different artwork in the cards sometimes, which can be cool, but you know, from a collector standpoint, it isn't amazing. And again, just like I said, most of these were pulled myself, but some of them were purchased just to kind of fill out the gaps at the end. So if you're looking for just cheap cards like this entire, you can get a solid couple pages from $1 if you go to the right place online. I'm telling you that for sets like Sword and Shield that are getting more expensive in price, your best bet is to buy singles for all the bulk, just because of how cheap it is. Now, for new sets, I say absolutely go ahead and get packs. That's what I do. Haven't bought one Scarlet and Violet card so far. I think that might be a lie, but I don't think it is. But for Sword and Shield, since it's going up in price, absolutely buy singles, just because you can get the same cards for cheaper. The only reason you'd open packs is to hopefully get the higher ranking cards, and if you do that, I mean, I get that. But really, if you just want cards like these, I really like steel cards, your best bet is just to buy singles. I know, that's preachy, but do what you want with your money, I guess. You don't have to do either if you don't want to. You're just watching this because you don't want to spend money on cards and you want to see some idiot talk about all the cards he got, which is valid. But we have Qfant, Caparaja, Wormadam, Steel Wormadam, the Clink line in a row. This is a nice OCD here too, like the Magnemite line being in a row. Didn't mean to push the page like that. Pawniard, Bisharp. This was a pre-King Gambit era. So if I have both a Japanese and a English card of the same card, again, that should only affect about 5 cards in here, because I only ever opened up that one pack of like Lost Abyss, I think it's called. So those 5 cards are in here just alongside their regular artwork. And I swear, you guys can let me know what you think, that this card, the artwork, not the outline, I know the outline's gray, just seems a little bit darker than that one. I don't know, it's just something weird I might notice. We got Clay Pawniard, that's a cute one. Dark, the Zigzagoon line right in a row. I do have the Skorupi, but you'll see that a little bit later. Basically, any of the card artworks done by Sawwow are some of my favorites, so I decided to keep those separate, which is why stuff like the Skorupi isn't with the rest of the binder. That's kind of a cool Poochyena. I like that Poochyena. Yeah, Coughing's cool. There's just a lot of these cards that I don't really have an opinion on. I just put that Nickit away. That was one of my most recent purchases, because somehow, after all those packs of Evolving Skies I opened, I did not have that stupid Nickit card. It's like the Caterpie from Sun and Moon Base all over again. I haven't shown you that yet, but basically there's this Caterpie card that I'm going to talk about a little bit later that I just could not pull for the life of me. And that stupid Nickit, I guess, was one of them too, because I did open a lot of these sets in my heyday, which was a lot of money. And the more I think about it, the less happy I am that I spent the money on it. But I did, and I guess it made me happy. So I'm not going to complain about the money I spent. But sometimes I do think about it. Alright, little rant. I love the dragon cards from Sword and Shield. Just because the fact that they have the little energy marker on them and the little claw marks in the corner. I don't know, it's just so cool. Also the fact that since they started printing them later, there's just not as many of them, made them so much more fun to collect. Like literally, it's 1.5 pages. That is all the dragon cards I currently own. Yes, I'm missing a few. Could not name them off the top of my head, but there is a few that could fill out the gaps. But for the most part, it is such a small amount of them that it makes it so fun to collect dragon cards. So that also applies to Scarlet and Violet, to be fair. There is a lot of dragon types in Scarlet and Violet, or rather, there is not a lot of dragon types in Scarlet and Violet, which makes it pretty fun to collect those also. But we're going to end things off with normal here. This is some not nice OCD. I like that Tranquil. It's just the random ones I notice every once in a while. Staraptor's kind of cool. Whismur crying in a fountain. there, buddy. Claytalo. We got the Trumbeak line. Feel like you don't see those guys every day. For the most part, the normal cards are probably some of my least favorite, just because the white is probably the least appealing color of any of the Pokemon card types. It just doesn't really stand out. Kind of boring. It's kind of another reason why I don't like trainer cards, which is probably what I'm showing you next. It's just they don't really stand out. You got the green, the red, the blue, the like gray for steel, the yellow for dragon. I don't know. Those are just so much cooler to me than just white. Basic white Pokemon cards, and they're all right. You can see the Japanese thing again with the low punnies there. Kind of a cute fletchling, but we are moving on to the end with Crown Zenith. That's a stupid looking Oranguru card. I do quite like that Oranguru card. Where's the Gumshoes? Yeah, I like that Gumshoes too. There's a few from Crown Zenith I think are a little bit slept on, but we end with Wooloo and Double. So, before we head into the ultra rares, I would like to treat you all with my trainers. And the trainers are interesting because they are not just Sword and Shield trainers. Any trainers from Black and Whites to Scarlet and Violet are all in the same binder. So, I'm going to show you those next, and I will see you when I do that, which is right now. So this is my trainer binder. This was actually one of the binders I used for school. It was specifically my science binder in the 7th grade. Take that. But we got some more stickers. We got Ralla, we got Blissey, we got Iron Valley, and a little smiley face in the corner. Also, I tried to recreate the artwork. You're going to see a few of those later today, so I'm not going to go into too much detail there. So, not only is this trainers from every era, but it's energies from every era. Ooh, interesting. So we start off with a lot of colorless ones. I do miss the era of them doing actually unique energies. Like they have the double aqua energy, the double dragon, the, what is this called? The wonder energy, the flash energy. These were cool. Nowadays, we only get cards that look like this. And you're going to see that in a minute as soon as we hit Sun and Moon, or I guess more the end of Sword and Shield, because we did have these also. Big fan of these. Again, just like the Sword and Shield bulk, I do own most of these. But these ones are from the end of XY. These are all of these Sun and Moon ones. You can see that all of them are some form of colorless energy. There's double colorless, counter, triple acceleration energy, and recycle. You know, I don't think I've read one of these before. And then we move on to Sword and Shield with Aurora, Capture, Twin Energy, which I believe is a worse version of that card. And then all of these special ones from every type. I believe that continues on to the next page. Just kidding. That is the Rapid Energy and the Single Strike Energy. The reverse hollows of those specifically came from the Urshifu boxes I opened a while back. That was the scam one. That was the good one, in case you're wondering which one was which. As you can see, every page after the Single Strike Energy is a normal colorless energy, which is so dumb. Why? These... I get it, it's for the game, but like even these were probably better than whatever these are, and they're much better to look at, that's for sure. But yeah, I put all the energies in here, any of the special energies I get. That's all of them so far. This goes all the way up to Twilight Masquerade, as currently that is the last special energy I have. And then obviously Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, and X and Y are all right here. But I do also have the regular energies. So this is kind of a mix match of all of them. These 4 came from X and Y generations. I pulled all of these in a pack of some kind. Honestly, for not getting all of them, Fire, Fairy, and Steel were pretty cool ones to get, and Fighting was alright. These were given to me at some point. These are from Diamond and Pearl, and actually this one, this cool little energy right here, actually has Sudowoodo on it. I did not open this. I believe this was gifted to me at some point in the past. I don't know. I think that's a pretty cool looking card. I just think it's a little bit different than usual. We have all of your base set / evolutions energy. The only way you can really tell a difference is if you look really closely right there, you can see a little symbol, whereas the base set ones do not. I basically used evolutions to fill in where I didn't have a base set energy, and then obviously these 3 were not in base set, so these 3 are from evolutions. Now, I do have holo versions of these energies, but those are in the X and Y Ultra Rare binder, which you will see later. Again, if you want to see it now, there is a timestamp in the description below, so go ahead and look at that if you just want to skip around in the video. These are all of the energies from X and Y. From here it gets more straightforward because we have all of the Sun and Moon energies from the first couple sets, and then the ones from the team-up era, tag team era, whatever you want to call it. Moving on to the Sword and Shield ones. Again, this is the last time we're going to see Fairy energy because at this point, we lost Fairy energies. These should look pretty familiar to you. These are the later Sword and Shield energies. And then, of course, we move on to our Scarlet and Violet energies. And then our newest energies starting in starting in Stellar Crown, I want to say. And honestly, I hate these. I mention this in every opening I do, but these were cool. These were pretty cool. And just any other mid-generation energy switch-up was way better than whatever the hell we got here. They're not even... It's the same pattern. You just put a little crystal on the back. I don't know. I think this looks horrible. That's just me. But we're going to move on to supporters, which are some of my favorite trainer cards to get. I would much rather get a supporter than an item card, that's for sure. But the main problem here is that they like to use stock art. So when they don't, like the Shadow Triad here, or the Team Plasma Grunts here, I think it looks really nice, because I can tell you that is stock art, stock art, stock art, stock art, stock art, and then those two are actually not. But for the most part, most of these supporter trainers are genuinely just stock art of the trainer from the game. And it really bothers me, because that one I believe is different. I believe it could be so much, hold on, let me finish, better if they decided to not use stock art and instead used unique art like these three. It's just something that bothers me. But we move into Sun and Moon. These are, despite the stock art problem, some of my favorite cards, because when they really go out on a trainers, it really does look good. Brock's Grit, Sabrina's Suggestion, even like Bill's Analysis looks pretty good. These are the end of Sun and Moon. I don't know why they had such an obsession with printing Erica cards. It's the same thing with 151. Why Erica of all gym leaders? I don't know. And Resolve is kind of cool. We move on to Sword and Shield. I appreciate that it's a exact page cut here. I know it's not going to be for Scarlet and Violet. Again, most of these should be here. I'll briefly go past these. I imagine the trainer cards are not why most of you are watching this video. Actually, I'd understand if most of you skip this section of the video, but I think they're kind of cool. You know, they kind of hold the whole collection together. Peonia, I believe, is a unique artwork. Copycat definitely is. But we're making our way through Sword and Shield. Cynthia's Ambition's kind of a cool card. I always like the Friends and Whatever cards. So this is Friends in Galar. I know there's Friends in Sinnoh, Hisui. And then pretty recently in the upcoming set, whichever one is next, I believe Prismatic Evolution, we're going to get Friends in Paldea, which is pretty cool. You got all three Pokemon Go trainers there. We go into Lost Origin with the Lost Zone, and then we move into the Scarlet and Violet trainer. So in case any of you are wondering, the way that these trainers are organized is alphabetically in the set. So if you're looking at a set, the way that the trainers are organized is simply by their name. So that's how the number is determined for trainer cards. Even for items and stadium cards, they're all thrown into one. Say if there was one that was like Apple Orchard, and that was a stadium, Bill's Transfer was B, and then, I don't know, a Crab Rangoon, I don't know, was an item card, it would be the stadium, the supporter, and then the crab. Well, the rest of them were in whatever order they went in. Basically, it's just, doesn't matter what type they are, just as long as the letters are in the correct order, that is how they're organized in the set. So that is also, by extension, how they're organized in here. If you don't understand what I'm saying, you could just look at the number of the trainer and understand exactly which order they go in, because obviously they're numbered. I know that I said supporters were my favorites, but if I had to pick a second, it would easily be the stadium cards. I believe that Team Magma Secret Base I just found in my drawer a few years ago. These are really cool. These are from like late XY. They're Reverse Valley and Chaos Tower. I've always been a big fan of those cards. I also feel like the old stadium cards looked so much better. Anything pre-Sun and Moon, again, I'm probably biased, looked just so much better than Sun and Moon and later. I'd say they kind of redeemed themselves with Sword and Shield and a little bit with Scarlet and Violet, but they definitely peaked with earlier Sword and Shield cards. And I have a lot of these in reverse holo form. Artisan and Beach Court, Ruined Thing. I never understood why Pokestop was a stadium card, but here we are. And then these go all the way up to Academy at Tight, which because of the reverse holo pattern, I can figure out is from Shrouded Fable, so we haven't gotten one since then. Moving on to the most abundant type of trainer cards, we have the item cards. So most recently, this silver damage is a little bit crinkled. That was from a friend, actually. I basically got it for free, I'm pretty sure. But what I was saying is that this should be the most abundant type of trainers in here. There's going to be a lot of Pokeballs. Yeah, like Pokeball, Great Ball, Team Plasma Ball, Level Ball, Heavy Ball, stuff like that. There's also stuff like potions. But as I was saying, most recently in Scarlet and Violet, they actually got rid of these types of item cards and replaced them with, maybe I have one right here in the stack of extras, with, yeah, Pokemon tool cards. So this Power Glass right here, for example, is an example of a tool card. Now, in the older days, like this Gengar Spirit Link, the Pokemon tool would just be labeled right under the item card. But starting in Scarlet and Violet, just like all the other changes they did, like the holo in every pack, they decided that the Pokemon tools would be separated into their own category. Which is wise, because that really does lower the number of pure item cards in every set. Because as of right now, we are still going through the X and Y item cards. We haven't even hit Sun and Moon or Sword and Shield yet. And then we're going to end off with evolutions here. These Spirit Links were a big part of X and Y. I'm expecting them to make a return whenever Legends ZA comes out. I'm actually pretty excited to see what they do with the cards with that. I'm actually really excited, and I hope that you guys will stick with me through that. Because Legends ZA should come out in the 3-year cycle, which means that Scarlet and Violet should end, leading into some kind of Legends card era, unless they just throw a curveball out of nowhere and throw us Gen 10, which I don't think they would. But I am really excited to see what the cards will do with the change in schedule that is Legends ZA instead of a Gen 10 game. And I'm, really excited to see what they do with the cards. And to prove a point, in the most recent opening of Surging Sparks, Counter Gain. I said that Counter Gain was actually from Sun and Moon, and that's because I owned it. I wasn't wrong. Here it is. This is the one that was reprinted in Surging Sparks. I'm not crazy. I know none of you were calling me crazy, but it does make me feel better to show you that it does in fact exist and it was reprinted in the most recent set. Moving on to Sword and Shield with Big Charm, you can see that they also kept the Pokemon Tool tradition alive here. A Lucky Egg, there's a lot of energy cards, energy research, energy retrieval, energy deposit, I don't know, there's a lot of energies. There's also a lot of repeats, like there's a lot of Pokegear 3.0s, a lot of other stuff. Anything with the energies on it is pretty common. That one actually features a Fairy energy, despite Fairy not existing in Darkness Ablaze. Drone Rotom, you got the Single Strike and Rapid Strike cards. Honestly, I feel like that would make more sense here than with the actual Pokemon cards, because, these are kind of tools. Fan of Waves is obviously going to be a Rapid Strike thing instead of a Single Strike. Meanwhile, something like an Urn of Vitality, I always thought you just kind of clonk them on the head with an urn, would be something more Single Strike. So again, that makes more sense here. We got a lot of scrolls. It was the scrolls and the gloves they loved doing. They had Justified gloves, Weeding gloves, Spongy gloves, Fire-resistant gloves, and then they also had Single Strike Scroll of the Piercing, Rapid Strike Scroll of the Skies. It was just their obsession to do scrolls as often as they can. There's more gloves, Spongy gloves, Rubber gloves, Scroll of the Fanged Dragon, why not? Cleansing gloves. What was their obsession with gloves? And why? Hunting gloves. It still keeps going. It's just like, of all trainer cards to get, Pot Helmet's kind of cute. It's just like, why keep doing gloves and stupid scrolls? That was just what they loved doing. And I did say that they made tool cards, but they also kept item cards alive. These are more reserved for like Nest Ball, Pokeball, energy retrieval, instead of just being straight up the same thing as Pokemon tools. Now they're just separated into different things. You got the Dome Fossil, Helix Fossil, and Old Amber from 151. You got some of the future and ancient cards from the new Scarlet and Violet sets, and most of these cards should look pretty familiar to you if you've kept up at all with the Scarlet and Violet era. Here ends the item cards, and here starts the tool cards with stuff like Leftovers, Vitality Bands, stuff along those lines, Handheld Fans, TMs. Basically, there's Counter Gain, I told you. Basically, again, they just separated them into two different things. So, with that is all of the trainers. So, as promised, why don't we go ahead and jump into any of the Ultra Rares from the Sword and Shield era. Alright, so by far the biggest binder I have to show for you is the Sword and Shield, Holo, and Ultra Rare cards. This is a binder that, if I were to spoil it, you would be able to see that this goes until the very last slot in this binder. Don't know how many cards it holds. Honestly, don't want to know. But every single page in this binder is filled up. And I guess I'll give you a little peek all the way to the end. You can see that Reshiram down there. Every single slot is filled up. What's in here? It's not every Sword and Shield card. So it's obviously every holo card. It's every normal V, VMAX, V-Star, any of the full art trainers I own, amazing rares, anything like that. Basically, anything that is not from Shining Fates or not from the trainer galleries in any of the later sets. All of those are in a separate binder, which again, if you want to go see those, the timestamp is in the description, because right now we're going to be going through all of the ultra rares from Sword and Shield. They're in a purple binder, because why not? I like purple, right? This was initially the second binder I ever bought. Basically, when I had a smaller amount of cards, I'd put the holos in one and the ultra rares in the other, but I did have to switch it up to be only Sword and Shield in here. So, immediately what you're going to notice is this is chronological, but not every single promo card is here, only the Cyndaquil and Oshawott. The Rowlet is in my Sawwow binder, which you'll see in a little bit. That is also tied in with any of the vintage cards. But all of the Galaxy foil cards are in a separate binder, so you'll have to wait to see those later. I do own a bunch of them, they're just not in this binder. And a lot of the Sword and Shield ones were recently acquired, like that Gyarados. I do like that Gyarados a lot, but it was recently purchased. The Melodic was recently bought. I remember pulling that Dracovish in a Darkness Ablaze build and battle box and that Duraludon on Christmas. So it's not like all of these were 100% purchased. We're on Champion's Path now. Only ever opened up 3 packs of Champion's Path, and you can see the 3 holos I got, and then I got a V, which you'll see later, and then the Reverse Holo Energy from that set. You move on. That card's from the Vivid Voltage ETB I opened last Christmas. That's from the first ever opening I ever did on the channel, which was the 2022 Fall Collector's Chest, whatever. There's some more of here. I remember pulling a crap ton of those Kingdras. We got Battle Styles up here. That was from the Single Strike Urshifu box, I do believe. I believe I pulled that from a single pack at Walmart. We're moving on to the Evolving Skies and then Celebrations. This is where they bought back the Dragon cards. Of course, I still love the Dragon cards. If you saw the bulk, you would notice that I mentioned that. Some of them had the weird trail, like this Eldegoss right here, I'll take it out, where some of the cards had like a weird paint trail that connected to Smeargle in that set. That was kind of a cool thing you don't see every day. We keep going into Celebrations, and they have all the 25th stamps. I do own every single holo from Celebrations. They're not as cool as the other ones because they're just kind of a flat pattern, as well as the fact that you get a lot of them if you open up a lot of Celebrations. Deoxys is one of the only Pokemon I know to have all 3 styles of card. Rapid, Single, and Fusion Strike, which is pretty cool. Don't want to skip a page here. This is what? Brilliant Stars and Astro Radiance. I remember playing that Weird Ear in a single pack, like a Swampert blister. That was a video from a few years ago now. I really like that Gallade card. The Mesprit's kind of cool. That was my first ever Mesprit card I owned. This is Pokemon Go. Again, this should be every single holo from the set. The only ones I was not able to pull was these 2 birds, the Moltres and the Zapdos and the Tyranitar. Every other one was opened on this very channel, if you wanted to go back in time and see that. This is Lost Origin. This was the first Sword and Shield set I ever actually completed, outside of like V Full Arts and Rainbows, was the holos. I just needed to buy a few of them because most of them actually ended up being opened in my Lost Origin booster box. I believe I purchased the Shiftry, Orbeetle, Basculegion, and Snorlax. All of the other ones, maybe except for Arcanine, I believe, were opened in that booster box or in a different video altogether. So you guys can go ahead and back and watch that if you wanted to. Here's some Silver Tempest holos. These ones are kind of alright. Then we got Crown Zenith. There's a lot of Crown Zenith ones, and actually, there's 2 right here I took out for a reason. I actually have 2 more holos I've yet to put away, one of which is from Darkness Ablaze, so you can probably see why I'm dreading going back and putting that away. That is this Hooper right here. And then this Volcanion is just from Crown Zenith. I purchased these because they were dirt cheap online, and they came in bundles. But for the most part, this should be every single holo. That's kind of a cool Mewtwo card. I remember that Tapu Lele was on one of the crazy packs I had. And here is where you're going to tell I'm a liar. The reason that these slots are empty is because they used to be my Halloween holo cards. That's a mouthful to say, which are now in the Scarlet and Violet binder just because I ran out of room and I wanted to put the 2023 ones in here also. So now I have room for stuff like these 2 cards, and hypothetically speaking, 1, 2, 6, so 8 more cards to go in here. I'm not jumping at the gun to purchase any more Sword and Shield cards, but it is possible. I am a big fan of these signed trainer cards. I know they were kind of in a melt crate for some time. I never got any of those, but these are pretty cool that they came in the set. 3 Vs here. Am I doing the same thing I did with Scarlet and Violet? Probably not. I'll just go over the notable ones. These 3 I actually very much remember. That was the first ever Sword and Shield box I ever opened, was the Toxtricity V box. That was Champion's Path, I got on Christmas one year. And then that was one of the earliest videos on the channel where I did the Pikachu V box. However, I do also have 2 other Pikachu Vs. They just loved printing those. That is one of the Korean cards. I mentioned that earlier. The Lurantis and the Scizor. They're the Urshifus from that box. The Corviknight I pulled recently. And by pulled, I mean a local card shop near my house had like a vending machine. And I put a quarter in and I got Corviknight V, which is pretty cool. I mean, I could have done a lot worse, right? We have Gallade here. Love that Gallade card. That came on the front of a tin. Galarian Rapidash V I bought to complete my Pokemon card Pokedex. We are starting into the Sword and Shield and Rebel Clash, all the way up to Battle Styles. I do like that Tapu Koko quite a bit. So, starting here, I'll briefly go over where I remember pulling these cards, and by briefly, I mean very briefly. If I don't talk about a card, like for example the Sableye, it's because I just bought it online. I can tell you I bought the Sableye, the Ice Cube, and the Tapu Koko on this page alone. But to speedrun this, again, if you just want to see the cards, pause the video, mute my voice if you really want to, and just enjoy the binder. But I pulled the Delmi Vs in one of the first partner packs on a trip to Niagara Falls with my brother. That was on one of those weird 2-packs that came with a pack of Darkness Ablaze and Sword and Shield. That one I bought. That one came in a 3-pack I bought from Barnes & Nobles. That one I traded friend for. That was from the Single Strike Urshifu V box. That was from a Darkness Ablaze Build and Battle box I got on Christmas. That was from the same 3-pack as the Zamazenta. That was the Alchemy V I pulled in the Hatterene V box. That one I traded my brother for. That was one of the more recent ones I got in the Vivid Voltage box opening. That was when I opened Shining Fates with my brother. That was my first ever time opening Shining Fates. I believe I opened an ETB. That was from a 10 I got on Christmas. That was a Battle Styles Elite Trainer box. I bought that one. That one I traded my brother for. That one I got just a single pack of Chilling Reign. The Sandaconda I got out of a like a Snorlax, Morpeko, and Applin 3-pack blister that I opened alongside my brother. We actually got the Sandaconda in the same pack. I bought them Ultras. The Tornadus was from a Chilling Reign Elite Trainer box. Volcarona V was from the Snorlax Walgreens tin. That was one of the most viewed videos on my channel. That's from the Advent Calendar. Dragozolt V was one of the Christmas ones I got. I bought the Golurk. Sylveon I got out of just a 1-pack. Same with Garbodor. Rayquaza I traded for. I bought one of these, pulled the other. I don't remember which one. Same thing with the Zamazentas. I bought one and pulled one. I don't remember. Breloom I purchased. We got Greninja. That's still one of my favorite V cards overall. I think it's probably one of the coolest. That one I just pulled from a single pack when Fusion Strike was brand new. Like, that was the first ever pack of Fusion Strike I opened. Like, it was brand new. Crabominable, I don't remember. I did pull that. I just don't remember where it came from. Talion was purchased. Shaman V. Same how I got the Greninja out of the first time Fusion Strike came out. That was one of the first cards I got when Brilliant Stars came out. Those two were purchased. Same thing as the Shaman. I got both of those when Brilliant Stars first came out. That was from a Cleavor V-Star Premium Collection. A lot of bots on this page. That one's from an Astral Radiance ETB. That was from a Oricorio single pack blister for Astral Radiance. How I remember that is amazing. That was from my first time opening Astral Radiance. I believe it was just a 3-pack blister featuring Eevee, I want to say. Bought the Executor. The Mewtwo V I pulled, I want to say, in the Pokemon Go Elite Trainer box I opened on the channel. Again, my most viewed video ever. That's from the Radiant Eevee box. That was the only pull I got from that. Most of these are from the booster box I opened on the channel. If they're not, I bought them. Chestnut was from the Silver Tempest ETB I opened on Christmas. That's from the Advent Calendar. I pulled that one. I don't remember where. The Regieleki I pulled in a short, a YouTube short. That I pulled, and that I pulled. I don't remember where. The VMAXs I won't do that for. That was just kind of to speed run through the Vs, because there obviously isn't that many VMAXs. This Lapras, though, is one of my favorites, because this Lapras was the first ever Sword and Shield card I ever got. And I remember it vividly. Basically, I just ordered 4 packs from GameStop's website, and they came in such a weird, crappy box. It was literally just like a wide, tall Amazon box, and they were just thrown in there. But I remember I remember being so excited when I pulled this, just because it was so new. I was pretty much stinked out in Sun and Moon. Towards the end of Sun and Moon, I got like no hits. Like from Lost Thunder to Celestial Storm, Cosmic Eclipse, whatever. I just got no hits. So when I pulled this guy, I was so ecstatic. And he's probably my favorite card in here, just because he was, you know, the first. Same with the Darmanitan. That one's a special one because that was the first ever hit I pulled chronologically doing these card videos for you guys on YouTube. Again, the 2022 Spring Collector's Chest, that was the only hit I got in it, and I was so happy. It is such a ugly nothing card, but the fact that it's attached to memory like that makes me happy. Not a lot of stories about these guys. I do like that Chandelure a lot, actually. We got some V-Stars here. That's from the Cleavor box, obviously. Just a few more V-Stars. Giratina, that one actually went up in price a little bit. That one, the Mewtwo I remember pulling 2 of back-to-back packs of Pokemon Go. I pulled the exact same Mewtwo card. Kind of cool. And then we move on to full arts. These are kind of my guilty pleasure because I can look at them and some of them are really cool. You know, the Scizor, the Gardevoir, the Salamence are really cool, but stuff like the Delmise and the Wobbuffet, they're all right. But it's just something about these full art cards I just love collecting. When I shop online for singles, these are the types of cards I am after. And then just pulling them is even better. I pulled that Salamence, and that was the first ever V full art I pulled, and it was on Christmas. And I was very happy when I was able to get that. These are from Champion's Path. I think that Scizor looks fantastic. But as you're going to see, they move on to the next page. The ones I were able to pull was the Alakazam, the Kricketot, the Mew, the Charizard, in a video that has not been released. Don't know if I'm releasing it. I probably will at some point. Keep an eye out for that one. That one's an interesting video. I pulled the Oranguru in the same video as that Charizard. These two were in the same box, and on the next page, I believe I pulled the Berserker. Yeah. But these cards are genuinely so cool. I love them so much. Honestly, the full art EXs from Scarlet and Violet, I just don't think look as good. I think that these full art Vs look so cool, especially on a 2-page like this. They're so cool I had to bump the camera. But I don't know, they just look really cool. I really like them. They're obviously pretty much worthless. Anything on this page that's not Mew or Charizard is probably less than $2. So you could hypothetically get this whole page or two with these two exceptions. More or less $18 because 18 cards, $2 each. That's not correct math. I guess more $1 would be $18. It's still like not very expensive. So that's why they're kind of my favorite cards to get. It's just because they're so readily available, but also so cool. There was a hair. I honestly thought that the Serperior was bent there. And we also have full art trainers, which are another kind of guilty pleasure for me, although they're more understandable. This Karen card, dude. This was like my #1 card I wanted from Chilling Reign, and I actually managed to pull it. I don't think I've ever been that hyped about a card in a while. But yeah. Oh my god, this card is amazing. Genuinely adore this card. Every other trainer here pulled it or bought it. It's alright. I'm not emotionally attached to any of these other ones, really. The Professor's Research is kind of cool. It's also a little boring. They do continue on to the next page. Again, I would say the Chair and Scare is kind of the most unique because it's not just, you know, a person standing around. And then, to finish off, is obviously the Amazing Rares. Pulled these 3. I feel like for the longest time I could never get any shiny cards from Shining Fates. I would only get Amazing Rares. And that one I also pulled this one on Christmas. It's also probably my favorite Amazing Rare. I don't know, something about the normal type and Rayquaza shooting out of the artwork is really cool. I believe it is also the most expensive Amazing Rare, so it seems that people agree with me on that, and then the Celebi was purchased. And that is going to conclude our biggest binder of today. So, what's going to happen next is I'm going to bump the camera again, and we're going to move on to Sun and Moon. So let's go back a generation, all the way back to Sun and Moon. Next up is probably the smallest era of cards I have. These are the Sun and Moon cards, so just like we did with Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield. We're going to start off with the bulk cards and move on to the ultra rares. However, this time I'm actually going to do the Sun and Moon bulk and the X and Y bulk in one video, because the special binder for those two eras of sets actually share one binder because neither of them take up enough space to warrant a whole binder to themselves. So again, this is the Sun and Moon binder. After this is going to be the XY bulk binder, and then after that will be the XY and Sun and Moon ultra rare binder. Make sense? All right, let's get into it. So first of all, much like the other binders, we got some stickers. We got Snorlax from the Pikachu gift tin. It's actually right here from my latest Surging Sparks opening. That has not been released as of now. There is the 25th Celebrations thing that came in the collector's chest. Piplup from the Advent Calendar, that guy's cute. Oshawott from the 2022 collector's chest. And then the Screamtail from the newest Paradox Clash, whatever thing that they did. You can also see the slight outline of a Pikachu tail. It was like peeling up to here, so I just ripped that off. But walking right into it, again, organized the exact same way as the other ones. They're going to be sorted by set. So first off is all the ones from Sun and Moon base. Probably the Era of Sun and Moon I'm the most nostalgic for. Also the one with most certainly the least amount of value within it in terms of a collector's standpoint. But still, a lot of these cards I just have such a fond nostalgia for. I genuinely have like 20 of these Butterfrees. And for the longest time, I could not pull that Caterpie. It would genuinely just start off being Metapod Butterfree because until I bought it for like 2 cents, I did not own that Caterpie. And I can't tell you how much Sun and Moon base I opened. It was just the one card that eluded me for no good reason. But moving on, the back side of the page, you got more Sun and Moon. I actually really like how the reverse hollows look. I think they really stand out, especially compared to the two Eras we just looked at. But then we move on to Guardians Rising, Victory Bell, Petalil. It looks like a lot of the sets are still complete. We're missing like Trevenant, and then down here we're missing a lot more. But Guardians Rising I did open quite a few of when it came out. It didn't start falling off until Burning Shadows because, yeah, the reason that this is the least filled out binder is because it's the era of Pokemon I collected the least. But for the most part, I opened maybe like 5 packs for each Sun and Moon series set. So we are already at like Celestial Storm, which is my favorite Sun and Moon set, in case you were wondering, because that was kind of a slow resurgence in my appreciation for the cards. But at this point, Lost Thunder through probably, I would say, Hidden Fates. I got pretty into Cosmic Eclipse when that came out. I just did not care much. As you can see, there's like 3 cards from Cosmic Eclipse. I even bought the Lilip. It was just 2 I had for the longest time. But yeah, most of these cards were pulled. Most, if not all of these were pulled. I like that Victini quite a bit, actually. No Litwick, no Chandelure. So this is going to be the least complete set of cards that you're probably going to see today. Just because, again, not a big Sun and Moon guy. Clay Litleo there. Honestly, kind of a cool Turtonator. I feel like a lot of cards don't make him look very cool. The Monkeys, Torchic. I wish there was more Torchic printed than there was. And we're already done with Fire. That's all for Fire. Cute little Darumaka on the grass. Also a Clay Lampen. I guess they love their Clay cards. Yeah, but a lot of the later Sun and Moon cards really get on my nerves because most of those are just PNGs with slightly changed backgrounds. I'll point one out when I see one. This era Sun and Moon is great. Especially Sun and Moon base. Love Sun and Moon base. Probably a top 20 set, and I know that's kind of a controversial take, but I kind of like it. You got the Floatzel, the Keldeo. I remember seeing that Floatzel a lot, just because of the way my binder used to be organized. Basically, it would just be sorted by all eras by HP, which by the end of Sword and Shield got really annoying to deal with. So that's why I changed it to be this instead, because when I put away Scarlet and Violet, don't have to worry about Sun and Moon at all. There's the Staryu, that's a PNG artwork. There's a Slowbro, that's a PNG artwork. Let's see, there's one more. No, actually, okay. I know there's a lot. I guess they like to spread them out across the types, right? But we're moving on to Electric. Cool Pikachu from Burning Shadows, I believe. Weirdly, there's only 4 from Guardians Rising. Sometimes they really leave the short end of the stick for the Electric types. Like, there's not a lot of Electric types in some sets. I think of Astra Radiance. There's just Regieleki, and that's it. Also, Voltorb. There's a lot of Voltorb. They really liked Voltorb in this era, even though his Hisuian Voltorb wasn't even a thing yet. That's a funny card. That's a recent one I bought. What is that? Unified Mind Pikachu? That was from a Dollar Tree, like, crappy... What are they called? The gacha machines, where they pop out with little cardboard cards on the bottom. It was literally a Pokemon card gacha machine in a New England Dollar Tree. And I went and I got it, and I got the Pikachu, which, considering the person I was with did it and got like a $1 bullet card from Sword and Shield, I count that as a win. Is it worth $1? No. But in my heart, it definitely is. Here we have Psychic. Those 2 were in the TCG Classic. You're going to see some of those later. Really, I just got the TCG Classic cards that I particularly wanted. I didn't go all out and get them all. A lot of these Guardian Rising cards I really like that Lunala, stuff like that. But there's a lot of ghosts on this page. Boink Grumpig, Tremecco, weird looking Oranguru, cute Esper. I don't know, a lot of these psychics are pretty cool. Another Spoink, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Spoink, 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 Spoink. There's a lot of Spoinks. Tentacruel's pretty cool. I usually like Tentacruel cards quite a bit. Ghastly, Haunter. I feel like they do print a lot of the same Pokemon sometimes. Like, the amount of times they print these 3 Pokemon particularly, kind of insane. There's also a lot of Cresselia cards. There's a lot of Miss Magius cards. There's a lot of Pokemon that they print, while Pokemon like, I don't know, Mantike kind of get left in the dust. That's a cute looking Mew. I like the Poipole. I like how in this era they specified Ultra Beast, but because they did that, I don't think they've printed a single Ultra Beast card since Sun and Moon ended, which is a little unfortunate if you think about it. More Sun and Moon based cards. I remember seeing that Hariyama crap ton. Reverse Holo Rhyperior, that's kind of cool. I am a big fan of these Reverse Holos, actually. Don't think I liked them at the time, but they have definitely grown on me a little bit. Regirock, that you can barely tell what's going on in it. That Onyx is a reprint of a very old card. I don't own the original, but I do know that in Celestial Storm Lost Thunder era, they did like reprinting those kind of cards. Cubone Marowak, I really like it when the full family line's on one page. It's just really satisfying, like Wooper Quagsire, Gligar Gliscor. I don't know, it's just really satisfying to me. Terrakion Reverse Holo is kind of cool. Zygarde, I believe I was gifted that from a friend randomly. I know, it's not anything special, but I was. There was also like a Japanese Piplup I forgot to show you. If you go back in the video, you can probably see it. But that was also a gift from a friend. Anything Japanese, aside from those 5 Sword and Shield cards, is from somebody else. My man, Alolan Diglett. This steel should be what, like a page? Oh no, it goes on to a page and a half, so it's about the same length as Fire. Missing Aeron from Unbroken Bonds, that would bother me. But I like Magneton, Magnezones on the same page. There's Bronzor. Pretty sure Bronzor's gotta be like one of the most printed Pokemon ever. A lot of Alolan forms, they're only just getting resurgences in the newest set. But again, didn't seem like we were getting a lot of Alolan Pokemon for a while. Pokemon Go was kind of an exception to that. But for the most part, they also stayed in the Sun and Moon era. So if there's any cards I would go back and buy if you're looking for Sun and Moon signals, it would be the Alolan Pokemon, just because again, they don't reprint them that much, so it'd be cool to kind of go back and get them. There was a weird, like, piece of dirt on it. I can't imagine the Dragon's more than a page. Yeah, it's exactly 18 cards. Cute Dratini. Cute Noibat, actually. I think I like a lot of Dragon cards more than a lot of other types. I don't know. I feel like they get a lot more love than other types. Fairy type! Right! It's been so long! This is the first time we've seen Fairy type. Almost all of these cards are Reverse Holos. That's kind of crazy. Screw you, Cottony and Snubbull, for breaking the trend. I miss them. I think that Fairy types were really cool, and now they're gone. And they're probably never coming back. So that's something exclusive to the Sun and Moon era also. Sun and Moon and XY, I guess. But we also have normal types. Piggypeck, Trumbeak, those cards are iconic to me. I've seen them a lot. Stuffle, Beware, same thing. Oranguru, that is a non-holo card that's usually a holo in the set. That is a Build and Battle exclusive, I believe. The Meowth I've seen a lot. The Kamala I feel like I've seen forever. It does do 100 damage. That's pretty good. There's a cute Fletchling on the top. Cool looking Buffalant. Lickitungue's kind of cute. I got Bunnelby, Diggersby, Minccino, Cinccino. Again, I love it when they're in a row like that. That is so fun. Also, this page is great. I don't know. It just fills my OCD with such joy and happiness. But we got Pidgey, Pidgeot. No Pidgeotto, unfortunately. And that is the end of this. Take a look at those, because we're going to be moving on to the Ultra Rares. Alright, I know I just said Ultra Rares, but again, I got my words mixed up. What a shocker. But we're going to move on to our X and Y bulk. So, moving on, you can see my first attempt to replicate the original paper I did for the Scarlet and Violet binder currently, with color. And obviously I did this more recently because it doesn't look like a 4-year-old drew it. And then we have some stickers, Cyndaquil from the Collector's Chest, these guys are from the Advent Calendar, Celebrations, and then the newest lunchbox. I still don't know what it's called, I really should have looked it up, right? And fun fact about this binder, this is the original binder. So when I first started collecting cards, back in 2014, this was the first ever binder I got, and it's still in use today. There was one other binder I used to store most of the cards back in the day. That was like an XY special binder. If I remember to edit it, it'll be right here. And that actually broke on me one day, so I ended up reverting back to this, and then eventually, I started buying too many stuff, and it kind of expanded into like 10 binders that it is right now. But opening this up, this is also our black and white binder alongside our X and Y binder. So the way this works is it's going to be all the black and white cards, and then it's going to be the X and Y bulk. It's going to be a page in between them, but for the most part, that's how it should be. And most of these black and white cards, by the way, were gifted to me by somebody else. I did not open a ton of the black and white era. So stuff like the Excelgor and the Shelmet, those were original cards that when I first started collecting were gifted to me by somebody else. However, stuff like any of these stuff from Legendary Treasures was opened by me as a kid, because Legendary Treasures was one of the newest sets that was coming out when I started opening. It's also one of my favorites, definitely top 3. I don't really know what my top 5 would be, but I do know Legendary Treasures is up there. But yeah, I opened all these, and then one day, me and my brother actually found Plasma Blast 3-pack blisters in a Walmart in a different town. We were like going out with family that day, and we just found Plasma Storm 3-pack blisters like in the middle of the Sun and Moon era. Like that was not something common that you just find every day. But yeah, so we opened those up. I got like a cool EX that I'll show you later. But it's stuff like the Cacnea, the Grovyle, stuff like that came from that box. And we'll keep moving on. So yeah, the Servine ends the black and white onto the X and Y era, starting with the Kalos starter set, which again, I did not open. Those were gifted to me much later. One day, my grandpa just pulled out a bunch of cards from his attic, and most of those were the XY starter set cards. So these 4 cards were from that, alongside any other cards you may see from that later. But then we move on to real X and Y base, and this is where stuff gets really fun, because this was my era. These were my cards right here. I remember each and every one of these cards because this was my prime time. This was my most easily merchandised to era because I was a little kid, right? And I'm stupid. I don't know any better. So I'd buy like 10 plaques of Primal Clash and open them all, even though I already opened 1,000 plaques of Primal Clash. So I just got all duplicates. But it's still cool because all of these cards I opened myself when I was little. And they're still here. I didn't buy, well, I bought a few of them. There's a missing card. That's really annoying. Like, I bought the Shed Ninja recently because I needed it for my Pokemon card Pokedex. Why are you missing? That really bothers me. I really wish I fixed that before I showed you this. It's fine, though. Whatever. But yeah, most of these, all the way until Evolutions, were my cards. These were all cards I opened. So I don't know. It's just really cool. Are the artworks the best? No. They're pretty good, though. Like, that Tangrowth's cool. The Hoppip and the watercolor style is cool. I would say, with certainty, that the cards we have now are much better designed as cards, but these are just so much more nostalgic for me. Like those Darumaka's, I had both of those when I was little. The Arcanine, that was like one of the first strong cards I was given. The Reshiram, I remember the Reshiram too. I don't know. It's just stuff I can't really elaborate on. It sounds bad, but you guys had to be there, right? Like these cards mean nothing to you, but I don't know. They're just so special to me. The Team Magma and Aqua sets, that was so cool. Even though I only opened the 4 packs of them with the the Magma pin. If I could pull it out of the cork board, I can. Yeah, it came with like the Magma pin, and it came with 4 packs of Double Crisis, and it was just the coolest thing ever because nobody else opened it. People at my school had Pokemon cards, but they didn't open Double Crisis. I thought I was the coolest kid for opening that set. And of course, that Kyogre EX I managed to pull from that is now worth like $100. Mine is not, because mine is definitely well played. Mine's probably worth like $50, but still, I think that's a really cool experience. The Carvana I remember having, though. That was one of the first ones. The Squirtle. Yeah, I remember trading like a Chimchar for that. Horsey, too. A few of these are in a different binder just because they were really special to me. But for the most part, most of the original X and Y cards should be in this binder. That Love Disc with the dirt smudge on it. That's how you know it's one of my cards. Amora. We don't get a lot of Amora cards. Bergmite, Avalugg, yeah, I remember a lot of these. I still like that Marshtomp art, just like genuinely today. There's some more of the Aqua cards, the Spheal and Celio. We have Octillery, that card was really playable, I believe. It had a really good ability when Breakthrough was the newest set. Gyarados, I like that artwork quite a bit. That's an iconic Magikarp. Vanillite, Vanillish, no Vanillux. I own very few Vanillux cards. I found that out with my Pokemon card Pokedex. Gen 5, which is coming out, by the way. It is in production as we speak. And yeah, Seal Dugong, this is Fates Collide. I remember Fates Collide, opened a crap ton of Fates Collide. Same thing with Steam Siege, that's one that gets dunked on a lot. I really like Steam Siege. I'm sorry, anything from X and Y is one of my favorite sets ever. Maybe except for like Furious Fists or Flash Fire. But for the most part, most of those sets are pretty great. We have some Luxio. That was one of my original cards, that Luxio right there. That Buitzel, I remember looking at like when I was really little, I would just pull out my binder and look at it sometimes, and that Blitzel, I remember specifically like examining it under the light of my living room. That's a pretty cool card to me. Reverse Holo Jolteon. I never liked the Team Plasma cards. I'll be real, but they're there, and the reverse holos look alright. But yeah, more XY. Pikachu showing his little chubby cheeks, and not his actual cheeks, his butt cheeks. Dynamo, that's an iconic card. More Voltorb and Electrode. Haven't seen enough of those today. We got Magneton. That reverse holo Magneton, I believe, is from my opening on Alexander 545. Which, in case you don't know what that is, that was my channel when I was really small. I opened 2 breakthrough packs on there, and I believe that reverse holo Magneton I managed to pull. Love that Mareep, love the Flaffy, love the Ampharos. Just the whole line's just great. That Shinx is really cute. Breakpoint might actually be my favorite set of all time, because I just had crazy luck with that one. No matter what I did, whether it was 1 pack or like a 3-pack blister or an ETB or whatever, it was my first ETB ever too. I just did insanely well with Breakpoint of all sets. So that set has a lot of nostalgia for me. I wish I could open it now, but it might just be a little bit too expensive for that. If I'm going too fast, you can pause the video or slow it down or whatever. I feel like you guys are really just wanting me to get to the ultra rares, which is understandable. I would be skipping ahead to that too. But if you did stay for the bulk, I appreciate you. I think this stuff is really interesting, and I hope that you guys do too. Oh, you know what that spot was in grass? I took all these ancient trait cards out of here and put them in a separate binder. Again, you'll see it in a minute. So I only replaced the ones I had doubles of. That must have been Vespiquen, who I did not have a double of. Really wish I fixed that, but here we are. Weird looking Hypno. We got Honedge. I remember somebody like ripped open a pack in Walmart, and I peeked inside because, you know, I couldn't. I didn't rip it. I just wanted to see what was inside, and I remember not getting past the Honedge that was on the front. Don't do that. I still see that happening at like Walmart and Target when I go sometimes. Don't do that. That's bad. If you're going to open it, at least buy it first. Have some common decency. I do like the Drifloon. Not so much the Drifblim there. Nidoran's pretty cute. The Nidorino is one of the ones I remember really liking from Evolutions. Just because when I opened it with my brother, we both opened a crap ton of Evolutions. The Nidorino is one of the cards that he never got that I did. So it's one of those things that's like, haha, I got it and you didn't. But you got Mienfoo, Mienshao. I remember that Mienshao because I tricked my friend into saying it was a legendary Pokemon. I mean, it kind of looks like one, but it's not really. And then I eventually got it back somehow. So take that. That's not an empty space. That's a whole different page. Thank you, Stunfisk, for taking up that page. But yeah, you got more cards. I hate any of the cards that are basic generic art with backgrounds like that Riolu. I remember that Primeape. I remember trading for that Primeape. That was like one of the first cards I ever traded for. Throw and Sock look good together. Not separately, but together. Diglett, that's one of my favorite Diglett cards ever. Again, you'll see it in a minute, but oh my god, and that Rhyhorn's fantastic too. Binnacle. There is a Binnacle from Roaring Skies. I will point it out when I see it. That was from my first ever pack ever. Kind of skipping ahead to find it. I really love that Groudon card. Regirock, iconic. That's an iconic Regirock card right there. There's the Binnacle. Yeah, that exact reverse holo Binnacle. That was from my first ever pack. The first ever set I opened was Roaring Skies, and it was that card and a holo Ancient Trait Togekiss that I also still have, so you guys will see that in a minute. But yeah, that card holds a special place in my heart. Not special enough to get out of the normal binder, apparently, but still pretty special. I remember pulling 10 of those Kabutops when I opened Fates Collide when it was new. I traded for that Lucario. Reverse Holo Machamp is kind of cool. I like seeing the original base set holos in reverse holo form because you get to view the artwork without the holo pattern on it, which is pretty nice. But moving on to Dark, not a lot to say on those. That Purrloin was one of the first cards I ever had, and black and white ones are already over. I remember, I think my brother had that one before he gave me all his cards. Inkay, Malamar. I'm pretty sure my dog chewed up a version of that Malamar card. Luckily, I had doubles of it, though, because what would I do if I didn't, right? Skuntank, I remember trading for it. I always thought that was a weird-looking Scraggy card. I also thought that one was weird, because I thought, like, his arms were like a bone. I don't know. The reverse holos of the Team Aqua and Magma cards look fantastic as usual. There's a regular Poochyena and Mightyena. I guess they just love printing those guys during this era. There's Inkay, Malamar. That's the Malamar that was chewed up, I believe. You also have Vullaby, Mandibuzz, Steam Siege, Sneasel. I believe I bought that card because I couldn't pull it for the longest time. But still pretty cool. Steel. Tend to be some of my favorite cards. I do like that Kling Klang. I know I said I didn't like the Team Plasma ones, but I think the Steel cards look a little bit better. Because it's like, you know, they're almost like blue, like rusted steel. I don't know. Kind of a weird thing. There's some more XY starter set ones. I believe the Pawniard I just got from somebody randomly, like at my school. They were just like, here you go. But yeah, remember the Fortress? This was one of the Fortress cards that when I was little, I pretended I had a Fortress just because I had this card and I knew what he was. But I called him for Estress, which is not his name, not even by a long shot. Metagross, that's one of my favorite cards ever. I have a reverse holo of it somewhere, probably in the binder with the rest of the ancient traits. But yeah, I love Metagross, and that card is kind of what started that whole thing. So thank the one from Ancient Traits for that. But yeah, a lot of normal ones. That Excadrill I remember from when I was little. The Jigglypuff I remember. The Slurpuff. I remember this one because my brother had a holo version of it, and I had a reverse holo. This was the era where me and my brother collected at the same time. Even though he was 2 years older than me, he was still into it. We have a non-holo Aromatisse. And yeah, Dedenne, like a clay-looking Dedenne, Reverse Holo Carbink, and Klefki. Those are actually rares. I remember that always surprising me, because who wants to open a pack and get Klefki at the end? Absolutely no one, right? But yeah, some more Breakpoint cards. Actually, the Fairy Breakpoint cards are not really my favorite. That's the Clefairy, rather, from the TCG Pocket. I love seeing the TCG Pocket cards when they reference old school artwork like this, because I'm like, oh yeah, I remember the Clefairy from Generations. Always loved the Marill, and Shiny Azumarill is classic. That Rayquaza is awesome. I really like that Rayquaza. Also, the Dino and the Zweilous with matching floors. Pretty cool. The Gibble was one that I had a fake card of where it had like 5,000 health at one point. I wonder if I'll show you guys that in the video. It had like 5,000 hit points, but still like 10 and 20, so it would just take forever to kill. Goomy Sliggoo, Dratini Dragonair. It's your normal fare for dragon cards. That Hydreigon, usually a holo in the set, I believe, is pretty cool. Same with the Salamence. I actually bought that one later, and I really wanted it to be a holo rare, but then it was a reverse holo rare, which is honestly kind of disappointing. I was really upset, actually. Seamless transition. I promise no time has passed. Wink. We move on to the black and white cards. There's a few nostalgic ones here. That Lillipup was one of the first cards I ever had. The Pidove and Clefairy. I remember I got like gum stuck on the bottom when I went to my friend's swim lessons. That was like maybe when I was in first grade. I think it might have been before that. Yeah, but that was like one of the first cards I ever had. The next page, I do like the Hoothoot and Noctowl in a row. That always makes me happy. A couple Eevees, a couple more Team Plasma cards. I don't know, I don't really like the Team Plasma cards. I think the electric ones look the best if I had to pick. The Snorlax, that one's in TCG Pocket now. It's also one of the icons you can have in that game. Dodrio, I remember that one being one of the stronger cards I had when I first started. No Herdier, that's going to bother me. But yeah, these are like some of the first ones I remember. I remember giving that Skitty to my mom because Skitty is her favorite Pokemon. I mean, I haven't shown her a lot, so it's probably the only reason why it is. The Baniri, this Baniri is actually a little like damaged on the top. That was from a friend. Reverse Holo Lickitung. I quite like the XY Reverse Holos. I don't remember if I said that already today, but I do like them. Like, I think that Noibat looks pretty dang good. One of the only times we see a different form of Furfrou, and I believe a few pages down there should be the red one as well, if I didn't already pass it. That Skarmory was one I always pulled from Roaring Skies. That Persian's kind of cool. That's the only XY card to get into the TCG Classic, that $400 box they did a few years ago. So I always like that Doduo for that reason. I also put like 2,000 of them when I started doing it. We got Swablu. Who else do we got? We got Snorlax. That's always a cool Aerodactyl card. The Eradicate, who gets a break, but in the artwork actually shows some kind of the break particles. That's kind of cool. And moving on to what? We have Evolutions, Steam Siege now. These are quite symmetrical. Big fan of that. You got the Talonflame line, Hawlucha, and then all the cards from Evolutions. Does it come to a full stop, or is there one more on the back? Nope, that's it. So, let's go on to the stuff you guys probably care about, the Ultra Rares. Alright, welcome to the X and Y and Sun and Moon Ultra Rare section. But we're going to go through this entire binder, show you everything in there. This one is actually not filled up all the way. This one also has, I believe, any of the Celebrations cards, or any of the cards from the TCG Classic they did a few years ago. I never bought that product, but I did buy some of the singles because I thought they were pretty cool. And this binder was actually the original Ultra Rare binder I had. All the other ones that I've shown you so far were the ones I bought after. You can see it's kind of scuffed up on the back. It's a few years old now. I've seen binders in a lot worse conditions. But yeah, there was a time where the XY, Sun and Moon, and Sword and Shield cards could all fit in one binder, and that was a pretty miraculous time. But moving on, of course, we're going to start with the black and white era with some holos. All of these, except for you, were bought fairly recently. So the Emboar, Reuniclus, Klinklang, and Sigilif were all purchased on TCG Player for pretty cheap. And the Escavalier and Superior were actually bought at a local kind of game store close to my house. They sold like pretty old school video games, stuff for like the Xbox, PS3, stuff like that. And they also had some Pokemon cards. They were like a bin for $1, and I picked out some of the cooler black and white holos. I believe the Zoroark might have been from there too. But the Zekrom, as well as on the next page, the Reshiram, Zekrom, you're not Zekrom, the Reshiram, the Hydreigon, and then any of these Radiant Collection cards. I love these cards. You're going to see them again later with Evolutions, but they are some of my favorites. I know the Purloin is a little bit hard to see. I might actually pull that out for you guys, put it in the light a little bit. But you can see it kind of has a funny little chandelier pattern. And for a while, those cards did not end up in the binder. They were just in the regular binder. But I decided, they're hollow-like, so I feel like they deserve to go in the binder. That Mewtwo was recently purchased from that exact same store I just told you about. That Deoxys has consistently been my least favorite EX card. I don't know, it's just something about it. It might be the Team Plasma thing again, where I don't know, it just doesn't click with me. The Zapdos, though, on the other hand, is one that I quite like, even though it is Team Plasma. So maybe I'm just speaking out of my ass, I don't know. The Regigigas was from the 3-pack blister I got at Walmart I told you about earlier. Zapdos was from the EX deck. Zekrom I just pulled, Darkrai I pulled. That one I traded away to my brother and most recently got it back for I believe like an Incineroar GX. The White Kyurem was one of the first ever cards I got. I always liked that Lugia. I know, despite it being Team Plasma, I quite like the look of it. The Meloetta, I pulled like 3 of these full art Meloettas at one point, and I only ended up with one because I was stupid and traded it away. I believe I traded one away for a Team Plasma Muck. So if you looked earlier in the video, you might be able to see that. That is what I traded it for. Colress, that was just given to me at some point. That is a pretty valuable card now. I believe it goes for around $50. The computer search. For those of you wondering, this is what the original A-Specs look like. Again, I didn't pull this. This was a gift from somebody else, but the new Scarlet and Violet sets feature A-Specs, and this is one of the ones that they originally had in black and white. Computer search was not a very playable A-Spec from the old sets, but it is still one that's pretty cool. You have a few McDonald's cards. That one was the one I got. That one I believe I just found in my kitchen drawer one day. The Noivern right here, I actually traded a friend for that. And still to this day, I have no idea what this Noivern comes from. If you guys know what this Noivern card comes from, I would love to know. It has a little Noivern symbol in the corner, which usually means theme deck, but I would love to hear it if one of you guys have found it. These are all traded for, and then we go on to some X and Y cards. I don't have a lot to say about most of these holos, other than the fact that they were all mine. I believe every single card on these 2 pages I pulled at one point, which is pretty cool. You got a promo Regirock from a Regirock theme deck. I believe that is the only theme deck I ever opened from X and Y. Yeah, I always remember the Swirlix being a really cool one. I don't know, I just kind of like the macaron pattern on it. The Altaria was pretty cool. I always liked the Meowstic. Those were the 3 I initially pulled. These 2 were purchased later. The Yveltal's pretty cool though. Delphox, I have a few of those somewhere. The Lucario, the Volcanion, and there's another one somewhere, maybe the Hoopa. I also bought from that store pretty recently, the game store I just talked about earlier. You got some of the dual ones from Steam Siege. That's pretty cool. Chandelure. Some Evolutions holos. All of these were pulled, to my knowledge. The Mew, the Hitmonchan, that was from a Toxtricity box. That was pretty recent. The Clefairy, I always love that one being fairy type. And the Chansey are all ones that I pulled. I love Evolutions, especially the holos from it. I think they're so cool. I also had the 2 secret rares from the set, the Serving Pikachu, the Imakuni's Duduo. I know there's a Flying Pikachu and that weird Japanese Executor. I don't own those, so they're not here. And then I have a Grass, Electric, Psychic, and Fighting Reversal Energies. And then, something cool I decided recently is all of the ancient trait cards from the X and Y era I decided that I would give a whole page to. So only a few of them are actually hollow, like the Kingdra and the Gyarados right here is hollow. Some of them are reverse hollows like Tentacruel and Altaria. But even if they're not, I thought it would just be cool to have them all on a solid page or 2. Obviously, there's a few going onto this page and then a few going onto that one. That Celebi has always been one of my favorite cards. Same with the Sceptile, actually. But yeah, that's something recently I did. And then we go on to our EXs. So these are some of my genuine favorite cards ever. Most, if not all of these, should have been cards I pulled. I believe there might be 2 cards in here I purchased. I'll point those out when I get to it. But the Xerneas EX was the first ever Pokemon tin I opened. That was one of the first ever big products I opened, so I always have a very soft spot for that card. The only other one on this page I actually opened, these 3 were from a friend, is the Chestnut. I have no memories about opening that tin, other than the fact that I have the promo. The Rayquaza was a gift from a kid at my school who moved away in middle school. The Aurora CX was the first ever EX box I opened. Traded that card away immediately after opening it. Luckily, I got it back, right? I didn't open any of these. I did open that one, though, so there is the full set of tin promos there. The Volcanion, I remember that one being on clearance for $10, which even now would be a pretty sweet deal. And then most of these, that Gengar was actually from the Gengar EX box. The Vaporeon's kind of a cool card. I remember opening that Sharpedo. Ho-Oh, I opened like 4 of those. Alakazam, I really like that card. And then we go into the Megas. So that is one of the cards I purchased, this Mega Diancie EX. Did not open the box. As you can probably tell, I don't have the regular Diancie EX. That was one I bought for $2, I want to say. But the Mega Venusaur, this was my first ever hit. Genuinely. So it was from a pack of XY base, just a random one from Walmart. This genuinely was my first ever card. And you know what I did with it? I traded it away for 10 common cards. It got back to me, though. Somehow, thankfully, the guy I traded it to gave me his whole collection after he was done. Otherwise, this card would just be gone forever. I actually traded him that Mega Manectric, too. That was my second ever pull. I traded both of those cards away to the same guy. And luckily enough, I got him back. Do not trade your really good cards for commons. Trust me, they are worth keeping. And yeah, this is a really special card to me because it was my first ever ultra rare. And I'm not just saying that to exaggerate. No, that genuinely was my first ever EX card I ever got. The Mega EXs are all really cool. I always like the Slowbro. But the ones I like even more are the full art cards. The full art X and Y cards look so nice, I can't even tell you. That Kyogre's pretty valuable. This is the one from Double Crisis that features Team Aqua. I pulled that out of the 4-pack blister I opened. Unfortunately, never got the Groudon. I do prefer Groudon to Kyogre, so I feel like it would have been a cooler card to get. But still, I'm not complaining that I got the Kyogre at all. We got Latios, Shaman, I bought that one. That was the most expensive card in Roaring Skies for a while. That was a big chase card. Now it's a pitiful amount of money. I bought that for like $6, I think, which is a big yikes. I always like the Evolutions promos. I did like them more before, A, there was a glare on them, and B, I got Pidgeot because it used to be Mewtwo and Dragonite always sitting back to back. I don't know. Those cards look really cool to me. The Scizor looks really nice. I've always really loved this Volcanion EX. This was like one of the only hits I got out of a Wailord and Magikarp GX box. You know, a Sun and Moon product, and I get a really cool X and Y card out of it. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's still a cool card, but I mean, if I got like a tag team alternate art, I think I'd be a lot happier. We got just the baddie, Archie. That was my friend's card that I traded a full art Wally for. But yeah, I traded that away for Professor Birch's Observations. I lost that deal. Wally's like $50 now. That's like $10. So it's like, what can you do? I still like it though. We got the breaks. I only managed to pull 3 of these. These are dirt cheap, so I figured why not buy them. The Lugia was one of them though. This might be my favorite of all of them. But the original 3 I had were the Yanmega, the Golduck, and the Lugia. I don't know, the breaks are kind of a weird thing. I like them. I like them because they were only in like 4 sets and they didn't overstay their welcome. But I know a lot of people hated breaks when they were new, so, you know, I kind of get it. They're kind of ugly, but it's in a cute, kind of charming way. But we're going to move on to Sun and Moon now. As you can see, it just seamlessly goes straight from XY to Sun and Moon because Black and White and XY do not take up that much space. It is not worth giving them a whole binder, so I threw the Sun and Moon cards in here too. Just going through the holos, I don't have a ton to say about most of these. There's a few foreign cards in here. I didn't open any of those. The Bulbasaur is one of the ones from, I believe, like Hidden Fates or whatever, where they give it this weird holo pattern. That is a Korean Naganadel, which was sent to me when I bought a card I'll show you later. It was basically an apology present because the person I purchased it from in China was like, oh, I'm so sorry, the package was delayed, I'm going to throw in a few cards for you. And then the Articuno was just given to me by my friend. But we got more holos. There's actually a few reverse holos down here. There's Detective Pikachu. That was a thing for a while. There's only 5 cards from that set, though. Charmander, Psyduck, Magikarp, Lickitung, and Slacking. Oh, and Ludicolo. I didn't even see Ludicolo. Yeah, those are from Detective Pikachu, so they're all gross and live action looking. But these are the reverse holos because recently my local GameStop has been selling basically bulk, but in those sometimes you find good stuff like these reverse holos. So yes, I did pay $1 for each of these reverse holo cards. I believe there's a few more on the next page. Yeah, a few more there, 3 steel types. But I still think they're pretty cool, and I'm happily spend $1 on them. Again, a pack is like $5, so 5 reverse rares for 1 pack is technically a better deal. I know I could order them cheap online, but I don't know. It's not really the same thing. And those are just 2 energies from Hidden Fates. Moving on to the GXs. These are the kind of cards that I think are pretty underrated, honestly. Oh, there's the Korean Lurantis I was just talking about. For some reason, I bought 2 Tapu Koko GX tins instead of a Tapu Koko and Tapu Bulu, like what would make sense. That's from the Hidden Fates tin, actually the one right here. I use this in the background of the Surging Sparks Build and Battle box opening, so that's why this is here. A few other ones, Lunala, Solgaleo, love those ones. Umbreon, I'm hoping one day that card goes up in value because it is Umbreon, right? I believe the Tauros, Ninetales, Shiftry, and Scizor were all purchased. Again, I know I have a problem. Shuckle GX, classic. That's one that me and my brother used to joke about, like, oh, you don't have many GXs, but don't worry, you have Shuckle GX. Honestly, thank God, right? That Blacephalon I remember vividly opening out of a Tapu Fini Lost Thunder blister, which is a very strange memory. These were all given to me, especially the Japanese Marshadow and Machamp. If any card is Japanese, I did not open it. I have yet to open, as of this video, I do plan on doing something, many Japanese packs. I opened one pack of Lost Origin about a year ago on the channel, if you want to dig that out. But I do not open Japanese. I usually stick to English. We got 3 full arts. Marshadow, I pulled that one. Gardevoir, I bought that one. And then the Guzzlord and Naganadel. I know you guys can't really see it, but I found this one for $5 at a different card shop, but still one close to me. And I don't know, it was $5, and I thought I was kind of getting scammed, but I kind of like the way it looks. Turns out this is a $7 card. So guess who got a bargain? This guy. We got 2 full art trainers, pulled both of those, and then a Xerneas Prism Star. I probably feel the way about Prism Stars most people feel about breaks. I do not like them. I only have one, so I'm sure there's cooler ones, but off of this just Xerneas Prism Star, kind of just looks like a regular card. It has a black border, but I mean all Vs have a black border, so it doesn't really stand out to me. I don't know. I never really liked the Prism Star cards. That's just me, though. And we move on to our celebration section of the binder. This was a Pikachu from a cereal box, and then that's from the Dark Sylveon V-Box released with Celebrations. These 3 were from the collector's chest. I opened that on the channel a while back. That's from the ETB, that's from a Zacian Level X box, and for a while, these were the only cards I would purchase because I wanted it to be my goal to complete the entire set of 25. As it stands right now, I am missing 3. The Umbreon Gold Star, the Charizard Holo, I do have the Blastoise, it's just not with the set right now, and the Shining Magikarp from Neo Genesis, I believe. Those are expensive ones. I do wish to purchase them at some point, but I don't really want to pull the trigger, especially because I have enough of a money problem as it is. If I start buying expensive cards, my future is doomed and I'm not going to college. But yeah, love these cards. Celebrations has to be one of, if not my favorite sets ever. Probably below like Legendary Treasures, Breakpoint. Honestly, it just might between those two. Those two are like my favorites because of nostalgia. This might be my favorite in recent memory. Also, it's skyrocketing in price right now, so I'm so glad I opened it when I did. But yeah, these continue on to the next page. I love the Zekrom. These are my favorite because these are from sets I actually opened, especially the Mega Rayquaza and Tapu Lele, because that was my starting point for Pokemon, was the Guardians Rising, Roaring Skies era. And then these are all of the cards from the TCG Classic. The ones that I decided to purchase were the ones that I have a card of originally. So like this Lieutenant Surge Raticate, the Voltorb, the Kangaskhan, the Miltank and Stantler. I just wanted the ones that I actually own just because I thought it'd be cool to have a holo version of them. Which is why the next page is all XY Sun and Moon cards. There's the Doduo I showed you about 10 minutes ago. Here's some of the trainer ones, you know, the Fisherman, the Fisher Rod, Versus Seeker. These 4 are all from Sun and Moon base, which I believe, strongly believe, is probably my most open set ever. And then you got some from Sword and Shield, these 2 from base, that's from Rebel Clash. These are from Astral Radiance, and that one's from Brilliant Stars. So, I believe, okay, there's one more page. This one doesn't really count. So, there is a yet-to-be-released video about me opening up one of every trading card game, and I've decided to put those cards in a binder as a little memory of that video. So, spoilers, I guess. That video will be coming out, hopefully, before the end of 2024. So, yeah, these were what I got. I ended up opening, like, a Magic pack, a Lorcana pack, a Yu-Gi-Oh pack, and then a pack of football cards. And I was just kind of like diving deep into something I've never done before. So those are back here. But other than that, this entire binder should be empty. So what's going to happen next is I have some more binders to show you. What? That's crazy. But they're not normal binders because we've done everything up to Black and White, right? We've done Scarlet and Violet, we've done Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, and X and Y. So what's going to happen next is I'm going to show you all of my vintage cards, which is pretty cool. So these are all the cards from base set all the way up until Diamond and Pearl. So, in the snap of my fingers, let's get that binder out. So this, my friends, is probably what a lot of you are actually going to be interested in this video. So, we've gone all the way back through Black and White. We've done Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, XY, and Black and White. Ultra rares and bulk cards up to this point. So this is every card before that. There is still 2 more binders I have to show you after this. My god, this is going to be a long video. Those feature Shinies and illustration rares, as well as just Pokemon I like. This, for the most part, is just going to be any of the bulk cards that I missed. But these cards go back to base set, so these might be pretty cool for some of you. Now, I don't know why this binder looks like this. It's kind of a crappy binder. I believe I actually stepped on this a couple of years ago. I don't know. I've just never bothered to get a new one. I don't really mind this binder. I put some stickers on it. You got Pikachu holding a little ornament. Kinda cute, I won't lie. But to start off is actually not any vintage cards, because starting off is my Sauwow collection. So, Sauwow, like any other Pokemon artist, I don't know if I'm saying their name correctly, I do apologize if I'm not, is somebody who started in the Sun and Moon era and is still going all the way today. I believe in Surging Sparks, the newest set, they printed a Swablu card, which is pretty nice. But they are my favorite artist. I love their cards so much. So, what I started doing is I kind of started filling in a little bit of a checklist for me. So when I buy singles, I'm mainly looking to buy the cards I'm missing from the collection, most of which are going to be from Sun and Moon. You can see I'm kind of filling this page a little bit. And these go all the way up to Sword and Shield, and all the way through until Sun and Moon. Now, what I did for some of the holo cards that they've printed, like this Slowpoke right here, is I've just put them straight in with the binder. I could put them in with the promos or with the Sword and Shield holos, but I think they look better 100% as a set. And I just love these cards so much, dude. If I had a reverse holo, I would obviously put the reverse holo there. There's the Rowlet I was telling you about. One of my favorite Pokemon and my favorite artist made that card, which is pretty cool. Same thing with Squirtle, my favorite Pokemon of all time, with my favorite artist ever. And then these still continue into the Sword and Shield era. We're not in Sword and Shield. This is Scarlet and Violet, my apologies. All the way up until Swablu. Like I said, this is the newest card from Surging Sparks. There's some I'm missing, even from the newer sets, like this is the Drifblim from Stellar Crown. I believe there's like a Drillbur and a Feebas in here somewhere that I'm also missing. But for the most part, whenever I get a Sauwow card, they end up going in these front few pages here. Now, again, not vintage yet. These are my normal, basic Halloween cards. So they go straight through the original 2022 printing, I believe was the first year they did this. And they also move into the 2023 cards, which is weird because it is the only one that mixes the yellow bordered Sword and Shield cards with the gray bordered Scarlet and Violet cards. As of right now, I have not purchased the 2024 collection yet, but when I do, if I do, I don't know if I will, honestly, they will just start right after the Zubat. And some keen-eye observers may notice I'm missing the Murkrow from the 2023 set. I don't really care, I hate Murkrow, but if you notice that, good eyes, I guess. But we're going to move on to some vintage stuff, and this is where we get some good stuff. So these are the Topps cards. Basically, back in the 90s, I was not alive in the 90s, so I did not open any of these, obviously. They kind of messed around with the types of card they made, and they also outsourced some of it to Topps. Topps are the people who make any of your sports cards, your football cards, baseball cards, basketball cards, anything like that. Topps is usually the people that make those. So it's weird for them to make Pokemon cards just as kind of a decoration kind of thing. They don't have any attacks, don't have any stats. They're literally just artwork with the number underneath them. Which, standing out today, is very awesome. If I flip this over to the back, you can see that the backs, I'll take Clefable out for example, have more data and information on them than actually having the Pokemon back, as you can see right there. Instead, it is more of an information card. Now, the ones in the middle, first of all, there's some more over here. I'll get to these in a second. These are from Burger King. These were all given to me by an uncle, I believe. Some of them were given to me by one of my mom's work friends, and they kind of fused together. I don't know which ones were from which, but these were given to me from my uncle. Ivysaur's really cool, but basically these came in like a sheet, and sometimes when you ordered a Burger King meal, they would give you one of these cards with it, or you can like get them in cereal boxes. Again, I wasn't alive, so I don't actually know what they're from, but I have Eradicate and Ivysaur, and I believe my brother has a Charizard. That is just a checklist for the original Topps set. And then these are more of them. Ghastly, Haunter. You can see they're actually not in great shape. Haunter, Hitmonlee. And then these two, which I don't know where they're from. Basically, these were just given to me in one of my orders from TCG Player. And they're just like little bonus cards. I legitimately have no idea what these are. If you do, I would love for you to let me know. But they're Wizards of the Coast, and they're basically like Pokemon League. Earn a Pichu promo and much more. So I'm guessing they're just kind of like filler, nothing cards that usually come in the set. And I do actually have a few movie ones where they're like episodes of the anime. I don't know where they are. I'm surprised I didn't put them in here, to be honest. But this is the real meat and potatoes, because these are base set cards. Basically, any of the cards I own from base set until Diamond and Pearl are in this binder. So you can see all the base sets. There's non-holo rares. My base set holos, I do own quite a bit of, are going to be in the illustration rare binder, which I'm going to show you probably last. So again, if you want to skip to that, timestamps in the description. But I did actually divide the Neo cards into the EX era cards, into the Diamond and Pearl era cards, and into the Heart Gold Soul Silver era of cards. And since I don't really have a lot to say, like I like the Bulbasaur, that's just stock art Heracross. I will kind of briefly go through most of these. I do like that Rapidash quite a bit. Some of them are a lot shorter than others. This is a weird little Entei promo from the Neo Genesis era. Again, I have no idea where it comes from. Maybe one day I would love to do research on it, but right now it's just a real mystery to me. And then this is all the Diamond and Pearl cards I have. Charmander's probably the coolest of all of them. Although that Magmar I did not get from my uncle or whoever gave me the Diamond and Pearl cards. I just had that. That was one of the first ever cards I had. Basically, the way I started collecting Pokemon cards is one of my friends just gave me a crap ton of bulk. And it was all black and white. There was some, obviously, older stuff like the Diamond and Pearl Magmar. And it went all the way up till X and Y. And it was just my starting cards. So when I went through the black and white binder, if I said, oh, I remember that Woobat or that Sigilif, that's why. It's because those were some of the first ever cards I ever got. I believe, that's a cool Swampert card, actually. That's in the TCG Classic. I love seeing those artworks. That's an old school card, though. That water, just like most other eras, is going to be the biggest for the Diamond and Pearl era. I do own a lot of water-type cards. That Slowbro's really cute, too. I do like that Magnemite a lot. Alright, there's a lot of old school cards I do like the look of, but for the most part, most of them are just stock art, like this Electabuzz. And it was a little more forgivable back then because they didn't really have computers, so it wasn't as easy as copy and paste. It was more, let's draw it out, but make it look like it's an original card. Promo Mew, by the way. Did not get that in whatever it came in. I got that for Christmas one year in some shady repackaged rebundle, but it is legit. I don't know where my parents got it from when they got it for me, but it is a legit card. But I completely forgot what I was saying. I really hope it wasn't important. The last printings of Kadabra, I know that's Abra, but there was a Kadabra in that set, and that was one of the last times it was ever seen. Delta species, there's a few of those. There was a Bagon back in water. I'm not going to go back and bore you all. That was, again, like I was just talking about, one of the first cards I ever got when my friends gave them all to me. A cute little Spoink from Heart Gold Soul Silver. Here we have the fighting cards. I do have a lot more of these cards. For a while I would have it so all the duplicates were displayed at once. I believe I still have that binder, so I will show you those briefly at the end, but these should be every unique card I have. And for a while, that was the only Bonsly ever. Before Scarlet and Violet Obsidian Flames, I believe that was the only Bonsly card in existence. Which is wild to think, but they also did it for Mantike too. It's not just Bonsly, it's some of the stupid baby Pokemon from Gen 4 that just decided never to print again. Speaking of which, here are the dark cards. I don't really care. This Steel-type Pichu is the only Pichu card I own. That was the first ever TCG Player card I bought. Also the biggest mistake I've probably ever made by purchasing it because, wow, I spent a lot of money on that website. That was when I went through my Gen 2 Pokemon card Pokedex and I just went through and bought all the cards I was missing. I would love to do kind of a conclusion video where I went through all those cards and tell you all the ones that I purchased. But at the same time, that Clefairy's so cute. You guys probably seeing most of them here, so it doesn't really matter. Japanese Sentret. We have some Diamond and Pearl ones. It's a cute little Zigzagoon. Bagon's got a big Dumpy right there. And not only is there the normal type, there's also these two that were in the TCG Classic. I showed you those already. There's also any old school trainers I had. I don't have any of the Diamond and Pearl trainers, so these are all just old school trainer cards, and it ends right here. Mr. Fuji's kind of cool. Sabrina's Psychic Control is interesting. This is the one where Lieutenant Surge is shaking hands with Electabuzz, which is kind of metal, I won't even lie. From what I've heard horror stories of, these were the worst back in the day. You'd open a pack and get a rare trainer, like Computer Search. Oh my god, I cannot even imagine. I can't even imagine opening those now for like $1 billion or whatever they cost, and then just getting a stupid trainer card out of it. That would really suck. But I do have one more thing to show you, and that is this strange abomination right here. So this was the original binder I kept all the vintage cards in. There they are. Reverse Hollow Magneton kind of destroyed. The only reason it's left in here is because it doesn't fit in a sleeve because of how water damaged it is. Apologies for the camera not wanting to focus. But here are the cards I was talking about. They are in god-awful condition. These were definitely from my mom's work friend. Shout out to you. You know who you are. Also some stickers that were already used. I don't know why I still own that. But like I said, I guess this is a lot of wasted binder pages in here, but these are all the duplicate cards I had, because for a while, like these Ekans, I would basically just leave them all in here. So I guess if I ever went to a trading event, I guess I'd bring these with me, right? Because they're pretty good trading fodder. But there's a lot of them. Also, these are some good pages, so I might actually have to ransack this binder. I guess it's kind of cool to show it to you first before I do that, but it is kind of already in shambles. Like this card, this binder is not very appealing to look at in its current state. You can tell it's definitely been combed through, and all the best cards have been picked out of it and put into a much better looking binder. But it looks really funny when all the Magmars are in a row. But all these cards should have been represented in the binder you just saw. So after a quick going through of these cards, they're in a weird order. They're not sorted by set or like type or anything like that. They're just kind of sorted by whatever type I felt like doing. So water, probably gonna end it all. Nope, just kidding. There's trainers at the end. Not a lot to say about these. Again, you've seen most of these already. Yeah. So, oh, there's Digimon. What are you doing back here? We have Nuamon, Terramon. These were also gifted to me at some point. I know nothing about Digimon. Let me know if you love Digimon, if these are any good. There was one guy I always liked. I don't remember where he is, though. I think it might have been that guy. Just one of the ones I thought was cute. But yeah, I don't know anything about Digimon. There might be some on the back. Okay, there's none on the back. Whoa, what is that? A Digivice? I don't even want to know. Don't even get me started. But yeah, that's the end of Vintage. So what we're going to do now, we have 2 more binders and 1 very special tin to show you. So what's going to happen next is we're going to go over all the cards I like. So in this binder, there's going to be any common cards of stuff like Squirtle, as well as any EXs, illustration rares, full art gold cards of Pokemon like Squirtle, for example. So basically, if I got a card of Metagross, Vulpix, Ninetales, Squirtle, Oddish, Diglett, Dugtrio, Turtwig, Grottle, Torterra, Sprigatito, Florgato, Meowscarada, I would put it in that binder because those are all Pokemon I love. There's Toxicroak in there, Electivire in there, there is Rowlet, Dartrix, Decidueye, Hisuian Decidueye, any Pokemon that I absolutely adore or is in my top 10, like Meganium, Vileplume, anything like that, is going to be in that binder. So, without further delay, let's almost finish this and go on to that binder. So now I'd like to show you 2 binders that are a little bit different than just your normal ultra rare kind of binder. And the reason that there's 2 binders here instead of 1, yes, this is the one I was kind of inferring to a minute ago that has all the Squirtles and the Metagrosses and all that. The other binder is this Detective Pikachu binder, and this is a little bit outdated. So I have not completely gotten rid of all the cards in here. That's why you're still going to be able to see it right now. But it does still have some cards in it. And these cards are essentially any of the cards that I like the artwork of. The only reason this is now outdated is because most of those cards were by Sawwow, and those are now in a different binder, so everything's just kind of moving around, and this Detective Pikachu binder kind of got left in the dust. But all the cards that are still in here are either ones that have a special place in my heart, like that one. That was one I traded a friend for when I first started collecting, and just some of the ones I like the artwork of. And it goes straight through from original Team Rocket all the way through the newest sets, which I believe this goes up to Temporal Forces. However, as you're probably going to notice when you get into Sun and Moon and Scarlet and Violet, there's going to be some slots missing just because those were artwork cards by Sao that I ended up moving. But yeah, almost all of these are just cards that in the past I really liked. Or they were cards that I just liked the look of, like this Duskull right here, or Raichu with the balloons. This is going to be mostly black and white and XY cards because those were the ones I first started with. Most of the ones up front should be ones that I got from somebody else. That Moltres I always really liked. That one I pulled. I remember pulling it. Arbok, that's the one in TCG Pocket. I love pointing those out when I see them. There's some from like the Generations Radiant collection. Those are kind of cute. The Entei, I remember always really liking that Entei card from Ancient Origins. Not a lot of Sun and Moon cards. I believe there's a few pages, just because I really don't have that much attachment to it. Ends here with the Ambipom. Again, you can see the slots missing. And then we move on to Sword and Shield. I always really like that Phanpy. That Snom's always been really cool. The Smeargle, I've loved that Smeargle card. And then any Azumarill and Marill cards tend to be some of my favorites. And this card right here, this stupid Claydol card, is one of my favorite artworks of all time. Just because it is so evil. I don't know what they were thinking with it. Why does it look... It's just like... I refer to it as the Claydol from hell because it literally is in a background that is on fire. It's so awesome. However, if I had to give a second place mention, this binder's a little strange, it would be to that Dustclap, which I call Pudgeclaps because he's just a chubby little guy. He's just a fat little oaf, and I love him for that. But here you can see some of the Scarlet and Violet ones I put in there. There's even one missing right there. I do like that Tarantula quite a bit. And that Ducklet, I really like the colors on that Ducklet. But yeah, this binder, a little bit outdated. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But as of this point in time, that is what's in the Detective Pikachu binder. And with that out of the way, we can move on to the real big binder of this section of the video. As you can tell, this might be the second most filled binder. It doesn't go all the way to the end, but it's pretty dang close. And I guess we've delayed enough. I've had to cut like 4 times. And yeah, so there's a top Blastoise, I remember showing you guys earlier. And the way that this binder is organized, it's been organized a few different ways over the years. I'll actually flip and talk at the same time. Right now, it is organized by set. So no matter what Pokemon it is, it's just straight up chronologically when the card came out. I have had it in the past to where every Pokemon would be its own section, i.e. this full page would be Diglett, this full page would be Diglett, and then we'd be happy, and it would just go all the way to the back. The only problem is this binder is stupid annoying to fix. Say I get a Oddish card, right? Oddish is pretty commonly printed. I would have to move every Pokemon that comes after Oddish down just to fit that new Oddish card in, and it become really annoying after a while. So instead, I opted to leave it like this, and instead just go by era, because most of the time I'm going to be pulling Scarlet and Violet versions of these cards, so that is really easier for me because I can just put those cards at the end. But we got guys like Lotad, Marie, Beldum, stuff like that. Fomantis is in here. Fomantis, Lurantis, an empty slot. I don't know why that's empty. That really bothers me. Maybe I took the Dartrix out or something because it goes Rowlet, Rowlet, Dartrix. Maybe Dartrix? I don't know. But basically, this is any non-holo EX or any version like that. There is reverse holos put in here if I ever pulled a reverse holo of something, as well as like the Sinistes, the regular and the Halloween version are in here, because why not, right? They are technically different cards. But all of the EXs and holos that would go with these Pokemon or their evolution lines are in fact at the end of this binder. We're at the end of Sword and Shield, so we're almost there. Much like how I've been completing these sets for the Sword and Shield era, I've been doing the same thing here, where as I go along, say I didn't have that Blossom, which I'm pretty sure I actually didn't, so that's not wrong. I would go in and I'd buy the Blossom for 4 cents and then put it in this binder. But I do usually restrain from buying Scarlet and Violet Air cards because it's not completed, so this should be all cards that I pulled myself. Love that Diglett. That Espeon is actually a reverse holo. Kind of hard to see because of the light, but it is, trust me. We got Rowlet, Dartrix, a lot of Wiglets. I'm a big Wiglet fan, so I'm glad they print him as much as they do. Elekid, for the first time in forever, got a card. Obviously, all the ones from 151 that got reprints in the set are in this slot. And this goes all the way up to Electivire from Stellar Crown. All right, so we are up to date, basically. I don't believe I've pulled any from Surging Sparks that would belong in this binder just yet. There is some from like Shrouded Fable, Twilight Masquerade. That's actually from the Build and Battle box. You can actually see the Pikachu ones right here. They do this weird insert where you can get trainer tips on the back, and I thought, I like Sinistcha. Why not? I'll put that in the binder, you know? Better than just putting it in the box and leaving it forever. And here is where we go into all the holos. Holos are like reverse holos that are different. This, I believe, is a play promo. I obviously did not play during the time this came out, but this is from like the World Championships City trading card. I don't know what year it's from, it doesn't say. It is a weird like holo that you can get in like a pack where if you open it up, it'll have like 4 different cards in it. There's an old series POP Metagross. That's actually from the TCG Classic. A lot of Rowlet. They love printing Rowlet promos, both Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield. The Rowlet, the Sao Rowlet, is actually in the other binder. There's the Metagross and the Porygon Z, more ancient trait ones. And then this goes all the way through Sword and Shield. Again, even if it's just normal holo like this Rillaboom here, I believe that was given to me by a friend, it would be in this section because it is a Pokemon I like. And guys, I don't think I mentioned enough just how much I love the Scarlet and Violet promo cards. There's a hair on there that won't come off. The Smoliv, the Squirtle, and the Sinistea. Only Pokemon with S, apparently, that I like get promo cards. But even just the normal ones from Scarlet and Violet get special sleeves like the Flareon right there. And then we move on to the EX cards. So we have the Blastoise EX, Blaziken EX, the Camerupt, the Flareon, the Espeon. All those are just from X and Y. Then we move into Sun and Moon. We got this Hidden Fates Beldum, Decidueye GX, Lurantis GX, Leafeon GX, and then 2 full arts, as well as some Shining from Shining Fates, Rowlet, Sinistea. We should also have Poltegeist. As of right now, you'll be happy to know that I do own every single Poltegeist card. I know. Bow down to your king. These are all promos thus far. At least these 5 are. Then these ones are from the set. Some shiny guys in here. I don't know why I separated them like that. Oh, it's because it's V and then VMAX. There's some Hisuian Decidueye, one of my favorite Pokemon ever, in case you missed that. The V-Star was pulled by my brother. Had to haggle out of that one. And there's some recent Scarlet and Violet stuff. I pulled the Oddish on camera, I want to say. I pulled that on camera, that on camera, that on camera. So I did pull most of these on camera. The only ones here that I bought were the Sprigatito EX and the Sinistcha EX regular. The rest of them should have been pulled. And it's not actually the end of this binder yet because there's some on the back. And what are these 6 cards? Let's see if you can figure it out. These 2 are just dittos. I didn't have anywhere else to put them. So ignore these. What is so special about these 6 cards that they would be in the back of the binder? Put your guess down below. Why would they be here? Alright, pause the video and answer if you want more time. Because these cards are my original Pokemon cards. When I first started collecting, like first, I got that big batch from my friend. I've told you this 1,000 times this video. These predated that. I know, it's crazy. These were from before I even collected Pokemon cards. Basically, one day my brother just came home with a stack of cards, and we would just battle them out for fun. We would make up our own rules. Like, we would have like a tractor, and we'd put a card on it and heal it all the way up, that kind of thing. And these are the cards that I kept. So I kept 6, he kept most of them, because to be fair, they were his cards. But I did trade him some good stuff to get these, and these are probably my favorites, the ones I'd want to keep. The gym's alright, but, you know, I keep up a leg over them at all times. But the Litwick, the Lampent, the Yamask, Joltik, and especially the Nidoran are some of my favorite cards from when I first started collecting. That is why they go in the special binder. With that, that is what, like the 47th binder we've done today. We have 2 things left to show you. The illustration rare binder and the special tin. But first, we have to go over my favorite binder of the entire video. So stay tuned for right now. Now this binder right here is my pride and joy. There is some good stuff in this binder. It is essentially my favorite cards ever. There is trainer gallery cards on here, any illustration rares from Scarlet and Violet, any shiny Pokemon from Hidden, Shining, or Paldean Fates. There's the old school holos, and there's just some other cards that I really like in here, like promos. All of my promos are in the back of this binder that I have to show you. This, if you had to see one binder today, this would be it. This right here is my pride and joy. Ironically enough, in the boring gray binder, but I really just can't wait. I had to get into this because starting us right off, we got some vintage holos. So we have Zapdos, Mewtwo, kind of Machamp. That one's kind of a promo, I guess. Clefairy, Alakazam from base set. Victory Bell, Pinsir, Scyther, and Mr. Mime from Jungle. As well as a whole nother page of some more. The Pidgeot, the Clefable, and the Muck, also from Jungle, I believe. And then the Gengar from Fossil, and a few promos / Gym Heroes cards. That Gengar is Japanese. These we got, and by we I mean me and my brother, Shock. I've talked about him a lot today. Got in a trip to Maine where we were visited by our uncle, who ended up bringing a whole thing of just old school vintage Pokemon cards with him. And then we ended up schoolyard picking for the ones that we got. I got completely shafted, but I did also hide in one of the hollows in the closet because I wanted it. So I guess technically I got what I deserved. But eventually, a few years later, we redid it to where it was fair. You know, we pick one hollow, pick another, and then we got to the cards that we have. And these, as I'm sure you just saw, are the hollows that I ended up keeping. There is one more that's not in this binder. You'll see that in the tin after this. But we have some Diamond and Pearl hollows. These two were from a Facebook marketplace my mom did, where she just surprised me in the middle of the week and said, I got you some Diamond and Pearl cards from a guy online. We met him in this parking lot. It was very strange, but also very cool. That's where I got the Lucario tin. You saw it at the way beginning of this episode. And then the Fion, I believe I traded somebody for. But we move on to any shiny Pokemon. We have Pheromosa, Inkay, and Magnemite from Hidden Fates. I don't know why there's a slot open. I guess I can get another one now. And then some of my recent obsessions have been buying the shiny Pokemon, the baby shinies as they're called, from Shining Fates and filling up my collection. So far I have Blipbug, Dottler, Eldegoss, who is one of my favorite shiny Pokemon ever, Sizzlipede, who is one of my least favorite shiny Pokemon ever, some water types. The only 3 of these cards that I pulled myself are these 3 right here. The Darumaka, the Cramorant, and the Frostmoth. For some reason, I can only pull shiny water type cards. And that actually kept true for a while because I only had 2 Radiant Greninjas when Radiants were a thing. Those are in here too, by the way. So those 3, if you're wondering, are the cards that I pulled myself. The rest of these were purchased or acquired through other means, and including the Choodle and Dreadnought. Love it when those go together as a pair. We got Toxtricity, Dedenne. I love that Dedenne card. Milcery and Alchemy, again, love as a good set. Dragapult's pretty cool. Sirfetch'd is a weird yellow rubber ducky. Rapalock, Phalanx, Zigzagoon, and Obstagoon. We got Berserker in here. We got some more on the next page. We got the normal type cards. Cufant, Caparaja. Duraludon's pretty cool, Bunnelby's pretty nice, and then Rookidee also is pretty cool. And then, what comes after Shining Fates is Paldean Fates, of course. So, because they were dirt cheap and I couldn't resist, I bought all 3 of promos from the Tech Sticker collections, as well as Quaxwell. Just Quaxwell, no other starter, just Quaxwell. Why not, right? The rest of these, the Hoppip, Slowpoke, Luxray, Cleffa, Tinkatuff, and Knacklestack were all pulled here on the channel when Paldean Fates was the newest set out. If you wanted to see any of those get pulled, go check out those videos. And then, starting with Radiant Eevee down here, we are going to move into our Radiant cards and some of these shiny Vs on the next page. And in terms of Radiants, I love these cards, but they're not my favorites ever. I am only missing 2. The Radiant Blastoise is in the tin. I'm missing both Radiant Charizards, the one for Pokemon Go and Crown Zenith, because those are $10 cards, and I don't know. I don't think I love Radiants enough to just buy them outright. But if I did, I would own them all, I'm pretty sure. I might be missing one from here. If you guys know which one I'm missing from Astro Radiance, I'm missing that too. I'll put it on screen if I remember. But other than that, I should have every single Radiant. These are from Astro Radiance, obviously Pokemon Go, Lost Origin. I pulled all of those in the booster box, I believe. Those are Silver Tempest, and then these 2 are Crown Zenith. Now I have a Banette GX from Hidden Fates. I do have another shiny GX from Hidden Fates, but that is in the tin. You'll have to see that in a minute. I have every single promo minus Dragapult from the Sword and Shield V shiny thing. All these were purchased except for the Eldegoss, because these tins and boxes got really expensive really fast. So, yep, I'm just going to buy the 20-cent promos and move on with my day. Here is the entire set, minus the Charizard, and strangely enough, the Grimmsnarl VMAX I don't have for some reason, of shiny Vs from Shining Fates. Here are the promos from Paldean Fates. The only one I did not open was the Iron Treads. I opened these 2. Shiny Charizard was actually on the channel. And all of the EXs from that. Can you tell who's missing? Yeah, I do not own the Shiny Mew EX from Paldean Fates, so just to keep you on your toes, don't own all of them. That is a very nice page that it's all completely that way. And then we're starting into the Trainer Gallery Full Art era. So these 6 cards are obviously not Trainer Gallery cards, but they are basically the predecessors to them. So there's some black and white Legendary Treasures Radiant Collection cards with Reshiram and Emolga. I pulled like 4 of those Emolgas back in the day. There's some XY promos with Palkia, Victini, and Volcanion. I wish I collected more of these when they were out because they are really cool. And then that Glade is from Cosmic Eclipse. And then starting us off with the trainer cards, we have the full set of birds. Those were from the Crown Zenith tins. All of those were open on the channel, I believe. And these are my pride and joys. Some of my favorite cards ever are genuinely the Trainer Gallery cards from the Sword and Shield era. So I have made it my mission to collect all of them. And I'm pretty goddamn close. I'm missing 4 from Brilliant Stars and maybe like 6 from Crown Zenith. Other than that, I own every non-V, VMAX, V-Star, whatever, Trainer Gallery card from the sets. Basically any of these yellow bordered full arts. The 4 I'm missing from Brilliant Stars is the 3 Evolutions, and strangely enough, Dedenne. That one is pretty cheap, I just need to actually acquire it. But I should have every other one in here. I believe I'm missing a few strange ones from like Lost Origin. Like I don't have the Pikachu or the Charizard, and there might be some from like Silver Tempest I'm missing. You guys will have to fact check me on that if you really wanted to. But I just love these stupid cards so much. And I made sure they're all in nice reflective sleeves so you guys can see them in the light. Because they are genuinely some of my favorite cards ever. And of course they move into the Galarian Gallery cards. Thievul, amazing. Diancie, amazing. I love that in the Deoxys card, he's using all of these single strike and rapid strike items around here. If you didn't notice that, this is like the single strike scroll. That's the Urn of Vitality, the Welcoming Lantern. Basically, he takes any of the single strike and rapid strike trainers from like Battle Styles and Chilling Reign and he uses it in the artwork. Fantastic stuff right there. I like Toxtricity with the band, Magmortar. I don't know. Crown Zenith was a fantastic set. I don't think I appreciated it enough when it was out. But yeah, I love this set. And it also continues on to the next page. I don't care so much about these cards. These are some of the ones I'm missing from Crown Zenith. I know I'm missing like the Turtwig and the Pikachu. Also the big boy Pikachu from the main set I'm missing. There's a lot from Crown Zenith I'm still working on. But for the most part, I should have every single Trainer Gallery card from Sword and Shield. And of course, just go straight into Scarlet and Violet. So there's the 2 ETB promos from Scarlet and Violet, the Pikachu promo from the Paldea Evolved ETB, Snorlax from 151, Iron Bundle from Paradox Rifts, Mimikyu from Paldean Fates, Iron Valiant from Temporal Forces. I do not own the ETB promos for the other versions of these, the past Paradox versions, as well as Obsidian Flames, Shrouded Fable, Twilight Masquerade, Stellar Crown, and Surging Sparks as of this moment in time. So these are all the ETV promos I have. I'm moving on to like Scarlet and Violet, Paldea Evolved. I really love that Sudowoodo card. I own a lot of them from Obsidian Flames. There's 4 of them actually. I own all 3 from Paldean Fates, 3 from Temporal Forces, 4 from Twilight Masquerade, 2 from Shrouded Fable, and then of course 1 from Surging Sparks, which is the newest illustration where I've added to my collection. I love these cards so much. Now, this binder does not end. Actually, there's like a whole second half of this binder. First of all of those pre-release promos I've been doing those boxes of on the channel, yeah, they're right here. So these 3 were kind of the original 3 I had. Celestial Storm, Sword and Shield Base, and Darkness Ablaze were the 3 pre-release promos I had going into Scarlet and Violet. Those were just opened. Like, I think I got this one on Christmas. That was one of the first Sword and Shield products I ever opened. And I got that at GameStop with my dad a while ago. I pulled a Rainbow Rare Articuno out of that. I remember that very vividly. But these were all opened on the channel because, again, my plan with these pre-release promos, in case you haven't seen any of those opening videos, is to get all of them and make a nice little frame with every single pre-release promo I pulled myself. So this page goes up to Twilight Masquerade, but the next page actually continues because there is Stellar Crown, a random Stellar Crown promo I got from Best Buy, and then of course the Gouging Fire card I just got from Surging Sparks. There's some strange like GameStop promos right here. I don't really know what to do with those. Don't really want to mix them in with the pre-release promos just because they're kind of not the same thing. Also, 2 pages in between because all of my Galaxy Foil Holos that are not of Pokemon I enjoy or for some reason be in a different binder are in fact right here. Alright, there we go. Now you can actually see Quagsire in the top corner. And these go in reverse order of when they were released. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know you like these cards, but why are they separate? I don't know if you saw the Sword and Shield binder, but it's a little full. There's a lot of Sword and Shield promos in here. I just didn't really have room for them. So I said, hey, why not? I'll throw them in the back of this binder till I think of something better. And every time I get a new Galaxy Foil card, I just put it back here, add to the set, basically. So it's kind of like a mini collection I've got going, but it's also like not at the same time. I don't like actively collect them like every other card in here. I just really don't know what to do with most of these cards. So some of them are from like the Advent calendar, like these 5. All the Sword and Shield promos right here. Moving on to Sun and Moon. Basically, any of the Galaxy Foil Black Star promos end up in this binder right here. That was from like Shining Fates. That's also in the TCG pocket. That Mewtwo right there. The Pikachus might go up in value someday, so fingers crossed, right? And then there's just X and Y promos. Umbreon's pretty cool. I found that at GameStop for $1. It was in like the junk pile of bulk they had to sell, and I said, yeah, why not? And then some of these were given to me by other people, the Reshiram and Zekrom. There's the Ampharos I could not find for the life of me. And then these 5 cards right here are the only doubles I have. And I know what you're thinking, how is that even possible? You open so much stuff, and I do, you're right, but how do you only have 5 things? The reason is, me and my brother usually open stuff at the same time, especially nowadays. So these aren't my doubles. These are my triples. Yeah, so every time I get a double card, whether it be a common frickin', I don't know, do I have one right here? Yeah, like this Wo-Chien. I will give it to him if he doesn't have it already. He'll do the same for me. But that also applies to ultra rares. We had an honor agreement. Unless it is like an all art, in which, of course, we'll trade for it. The most cases, if I get a double Morpeko, Regieleki, Luxray Holo, Radiant Greninja, Delphox Holo, I'll give it to him. The only problem is, he has all 5 of these cards already. Which means, these are officially my only triples of ultra rares. Don't worry, I have a crap ton of bulk I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, that is all I have for doubles, which is pretty impressive. Usually you get a lot more. But if you really wanted to trade, I would say, here's my doubles. And you'd be like, wow, I don't want any of that. And I would say that's fair. But that leaves us with one small tin left. So let's get right into it. So last, but certainly not least, we have my absolute favorite cards ever. Yes, even better than all the Trainer Gallery cards, the Illustration Rares, the Shinies, any of those vintage cards you saw earlier. Better than those. This tin right here, the Flareon V tin, has my favorite cards and most valuable cards in my collection. I also bought this. This is a cute little card guard binder that I found at Target the other day, literally after I filmed most of this video. So a lot of the cards you've already seen today are going to be in this binder. I took a lot of the original cards out of the red binder, and just a few other cards that used to be in here are now in here. So I'm going to show you this first, this new addition to my collection, and then the tin, and after that we'll wrap things up, right? We're almost done. Can you believe it? It's pretty crazy. I never thought this day would come. I've been working on this video for so long, and it's finally going to end. Oh my god, what, 2.5 hours in I think we are right now? I don't know. Pretty cool, but yeah. We're going to start off with the Card Guard binder. So I'm going to move the tin aside for now. Basically, this is a tiny version of the Ultra Pro binders I showed you earlier, which is why I wanted it so bad. And the first card in here is a Korean Blastoise from Pokemon Go. So there's a few of these cards in here, a few Korean cards, mainly because Korea is a lot farther behind us in set order. So they just went through the end of Sword and Shield. And when they got to Pokemon Go, they ran into an issue because Korea at this time does not have Pokemon Go allowed in their region. So any of the Pokemon Go labeled cards or stuff that just directly has to do with Pokemon Go, like Pokestops, just don't exist in Korea. So they had to redo most of the artworks from that set in order to make them approved, because Niantic owns like part of every card. You can actually see it on the playmat. If I pull it over to you, this is a Pokemon playmat, but it does say right there Niantic. So there was a bit of copyright. So what they did is they had to reprint most of the holos and Radiants in the set. So this is a Holo Blastoise exclusive to Korea, as well as a Radiant Blastoise and a Radiant Venusaur that are exclusive to Korea. I don't care for that artwork, but this Venusaur is genuinely amazing. Also, whatever pattern they used for these Radiant cards is genuinely really cool. Big fan. However, there is another Radiant card, and no, it's not Charizard. It's Eevee, so we also have the Radiant Eevee promo as a Korean card. The reason I didn't buy Charizard is because it's the same artwork that's in Crown Zenith. Since they had no problem using that artwork because it was an original Pokemon artwork, and they had 2 Radiant Charizards, they just made it 1 Radiant Charizard. So we never got a unique Charizard. However, these cards are not unique, but you may notice they are also Korean. This is the Venusaur VMAX, the Charizard VMAX, and the Blastoise VMAX. These cards got really expensive really fast, and I wanted them. So I went to eBay shortly after buying these Radiants and some full arts you're going to see in a minute, and I said, hey, what the heck? These cards were about $5 each. So I said I'll complete the set. I believe it was 5 for Blastoise, 5 for Venusaur, 10 for Charizard, which is pretty cool. It's the same artwork. Technically, it's the same attacks. It's just the text is a little different. But for my collection, I don't play the game, so it doesn't matter if they're Korean. It makes it easier for me to collect them. However, these 2 cards were the first ones I wanted because this is the Venusaur V and Blastoise V full arts. Much like the Radiants, these cards are 100% unique to Korea. We never got these cards in America or even Japan. So these artworks are never seen outside of these 2 cards, which is why I spent 20 bucks on them. Yeah, they're a little bit overpriced, but I still got them anyway. So that is it for the Korean cards I own. However, there's just a few other cards I really like in here that you may not have seen so far, including some of my higher rarity Blastoises. So this Blastoise is from the Celebration set, the 25th anniversary set, and then the Radiant Blastoise is from the Pokemon Go set. Both of these were pulled. I actually managed to pull 2 of those from a Celebrations ETB, the same ETB. I pulled 2 of these cards, and that was pulled out of my most viewed Pokemon opening on the channel, the Pokemon Go Elite Trainer box. I pulled the Radiant Blastoise out of there, which was my chase card. There's a few of these black and gold cards from the Sword and Shield era. There should be 4. There should be 3, Duraludon, Pikachu, and Calyrex. I did mess up. There is 3. My favorite is probably Pikachu. I'm also missing, I believe, 3. I believe there's a Rayquaza, a Mew, and then the other version of Calyrex. These are cool. I just have no interest in purchasing them all. And the reason this Ancient Trait Togekiss is here, because it's like, why is that in here of all cards? That was the first ever card I opened out of a pack. It was a pack of Roaring Skies, and on the end of the pack was this cool Togekiss holo. So, after trading it away and having to trade it back a few years ago, yeah, not very good with that, as you might remember with the Mega Venusaur EX, I managed to get my first ever card back, and right now it currently sits in this binder, this little cute Ultra Pro binder. However, there's also the Gigalith. This Gigalith was not my first ever pulled card, but it was just my first ever collected holo card. I've said this a few times in the video, but the first time I ever started collecting cards, I was just given a bunch of cards from my friend at the time, and the only holo card in there was this Gigalith. I like this Gigalith a lot for that reason, as you may imagine. These you've already seen today. I also moved my original cards that my brother gave me. These used to be in the red binder. As you've seen them early in the video, I won't go through those that much. I also have some of the pre-releases in here. Again, you've seen these. All the non-Scarlet and Violet pre-release promos should be in here, as well as the strange ones like the Astro Radiance GameStop promo, the Stellar Crown Best Buy promo, and then the Sandaconda GameStop promo. But yeah, that should be it for the red binder. So why don't we go move on to the tin, which is probably what most of you care about. So goodbye, red binder, and we're actually going to move on to the final product. Can you believe it? Just kidding. Let's look at this. Got you. You thought you were going to look at the cool stuff. I got you, though. These are my jumbos. So during the 25th anniversary of Pokemon, the same time Celebrations came out, they did some first partner packs. Inside of these, you'd get all 3 starters as jumbos with the 25th symbol in the corner. However, when they did these, they also released this binder. It came with that Pikachu right there, and it basically fits the Sword and Shield and later jumbo cards perfectly. So while I did not get every single first partner pack out there, I believe I'm missing Gen 3, 6, 7, and 8. I do have the Gen 1 guys, the Gen 2 guys, and these guys are really cool because they're reprints of the first ever artworks of each card. So that Chikorita, this Cyndaquil, and this Totodile are the first of its kind printed, which is pretty cool. And Gen 3, I don't have Gen 3, I just said that. We have Gen 4 with Turtwig, Chimchar, and, you guessed it, Piplup, as well as the Gen 5 starters with Snivy, Tepig, and Oshawott. And now is the actual jumbos. So these usually come in collection boxes, more specifically V or EX collection boxes. They usually come as something in the back of the box. So we start off with Snorlax VMAX. This is actually a textured card. You might not be able to see that on camera, obviously. And then Toxtricity V. That was from GameStop. They just gave me one day when I bought cards there. The Poltegeist and Hatterene V. I do quite like the jumbo cards. I like them a lot more now that they're in here. We had the Pikachu V from Shining Fates, the Orbeetle. We have both Urshifus right next to each other. They can kiss when you close the page. Mwah. We got an Ice Rider Calyrex, a Dragapult Prime. This was actually my brother's Celebrations box he opened. I did not open this box, but he has no use for the jumbo card, so he just gave that one to me. There's another Pikachu V, a Boltund V sitting in some flowers, a Alolan Executor V, that was from Pokemon Go. There is a Kleavor V-Star, which, as you might be able to hear, is in fact textured. I do quite like the V-Stars as big cards. They look pretty cool. I'm struggling to turn the page here. We have both of the Reggies from Crown Zenith, including Regieleki and Regidrago. We got the EX era. We got Mimikyu and Cyclizar. These cards look great as jumbos. We have Zapdos CX and Iron Valiant EX. And that's it so far. So the last promo I have in here is the Iron Valiant EX. But I'm sure this binder will fill up. And oh yeah, there's an extra of all the Gen 2 guys. So I actually opened up 2 when I got it. So I kept this Chikorita hoping I would do something with it. I never did. So it just sits back here, I guess. But yeah, that's the jumbos. Now let's get on to what you really care about. The time has finally come. There will be no more fake outs. It is actually time to open the lid of the Flareon tin and get right into each of my favorite cards. The way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to take one at the top, show you it like this, put it to the side until we get to the bottom of this tin. As you may be able to see, there is quite a few cards in here. So these should be roughly sorted. We're going to start off with the Mega Gyarados EX Full Art. Some of these top loaders are in better condition than others. This one looks pretty good. The Mega Gyarados was my first big hit I ever got. I remember getting it out of a single pack from Walmart, and to this day, it is still my favorite card in my collection, just because of the vivid memory I have pulling at it. I could not stop staring at this card when I got it. So is it the most valuable card ever? No, but I have a strong soft spot for it. Next up is the Venusaur EX from Evolutions, as well as the Charizard EX from Evolutions. I really like specifically the Mega EX Full Arts from any of the X and Y sets, and the Mega Charizard was the most valuable card in the set until people realized they wanted the Holo Charizard a lot more, so this dropped down to about $30, and the Charizard skyrocketed to about $200. So take that. And then the Mega Venusaur was another card from that set. I do not have my favorite. I do not have Blastoise, but I do have these two, and they sit in this tin. There's this Primal Kyogre EX Secret Rare, which takes us into all of my gold cards. This was one that a friend pulled and just gave to me. Straight up. I did not pull this card, but I would stare at it longingly whenever I went over to his house. And when he gave me his whole collection, he just gave me it for free. And this card is incredible. These are part of like Ancient Origins secret rares. There's a Rayquaza, a Groudon, and a Kyogre to celebrate Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, more specifically their primal forms. And they use these really beautiful gold full arts to illustrate that. There is a Power Tablet from Fusion Strike. This is a gold card. Not worth a whole lot, but it's a pretty cool looking card. Same thing with Telescopic Sight, except for this time this one is from Vivid Voltage. I'm a big fan of any of the gold cards. Lost Vacuum is obviously from Lost Origin. That was from my booster box, I believe. Again, the gold card. Ooh, Basic Fire Energy. This is from Obsidian Flames. So if you remember way back a couple hours ago, if you even watched that, and when I did my Scarlet and Violet era, I mentioned that I got just a few packs of Obsidian Flames for Christmas one year, specifically 2023, last year, as of filming this. And in those packs, just random one packs from probably either GameStop or Walmart, I just smeared it, is this basic Fire Energy gold card. I've never had a golden energy before, but they are really pretty. It's simplistic, but in a very nice way. Oh, here's a good one. Here is Mewtwo V-Star Gold. I very vividly remember pulling this from the Alolan Executor V-Box. It was my first ever gold card I ever got, and I have a very soft spot for this card. However, the next one below it is a lot cooler. The Arceus V-Star from Crown Zenith. Again, I pulled this one on the channel. The Galarian Moltres tin I managed to pull this one out of, and I was floored. I was at a loss for words. And this card is about worth $90, give or take, but it's just really pretty. I love this card. This is probably one of my favorite cards in here, probably aside from the Gyarados and some of the alt arts in here. It's just so pretty. There's also this Gyarados EX. So this secret rare is from Breakpoint, X and Y Breakpoint. And it's the first time they truly start to look like illustration rares like we have now, because this shiny Gyarados EX features a Greninja and a Manaphy, which at the time was pretty crazy to have more than one Pokemon on a card. Especially with stuff like the 20th anniversary promos, that was a big deal when those came out, especially for the X and Y era, like this Gyarados EX. We move on to Rainbows now. Here we have an Aerodactyl V-Star. Rainbows have never been my favorite cards, but they are probably top-loader worthy. We have an Aerodactyl V-Star I got out of the booster box. We have a Whimsicott V-Star I managed to pull out of a Boltund V-Box. I remember going 4 for 4 in that box. Did not open it on camera because, of course, why would I? Here is a Rayquaza VMAX, which I pulled out of a single pack from Walmart the day before my family left for a vacation. I want to say it was in 2022. But this card is really pretty. Something about the way that it shines down the whole body is really incredible. Also, this is like a $90 card, one of the most valuable rainbow rares from Evolving Skies. Anything from Evolving Skies is a good pull. We have an Articuno GX. This one is from Celestial Storm. I pulled this when my dad bought me a Celestial Storm pre-release box. It was one of the only Sun and Moon pulls I actually got, and it's a pretty good one to get. I love how Articuno looks in this. It looks so pretty. We also have a Blastoise and Piplup, which is probably the luckiest I've ever been with any card ever, because I managed to pull this out of a Dollar Tree pack. So Cosmic Eclipse was one of the last ever Dollar Tree packs they did, but basically a Dollar Tree pack is just 3 common cards, and for some reason they had chances to get any card in the set, including GXs, GX Full Arts, alternate arts, and rainbow rares like this guy. So the Blastoise and Piplup I was able to pull from a Dollar Tree pack one day, which was very lucky. We have a Sylveon GX Shiny from Hidden Fates. This is only a top loader card because it's worth over $100. I only opened up Hidden Fates twice. I spent like way over MSRP on a Mewtwo pin collection, got nothing, and said, alright, screw Hidden Fates. And then, when Shining Fates came out in 2020, I asked my friend for Shining Fates for Christmas, and he got me Hidden Fates instead. He got me the Raichu GX tin, and in that tin, I was able to pull this Sylveon GX Shiny, which is one of the best cards in the set, so I guess Hidden Fates did good for me after all. Next up, we have all of our alternate arts. We have a Galarian Slowking V. It is not my favorite looking alt art, but it is one that I pulled. This one is from Chilling Rain. We have a Honchkrow V, not one of my favorite Pokemon ever, but I do like the artwork on it. I managed to pull this one out of the Koraidon EX tin, which to this day is still my most luckiest I've ever been in an opening ever. We have a Beedrill V alternate art. This one spiked in price recently. When I pulled it, I can tell you it was not like a $40 card, but now it is. And this was from an Astro Radiance Elite Trainer box I opened. Of course, not on camera. Oh, here is the 20th anniversary Blastoise EX. If you did not see my alternate art ranking, spoilers in 3, 2, 1, this is my favorite alternate art ever, just because it was truly the first one that I ever got and one of the first ones ever made, because again, they have Gyarados, Vaporeon, and Blastoise on it. I was trying to check if there's any down there. But yeah, this genuinely is one of my favorite cards ever, up there with the Gyarados for sure. We have the Eevee and Snorlax. These were from the team-up tins back in, I want to say, 2019 when they came out. It's okay. I don't know how much I care for the artwork. I think the Venusaur and Celebi and Pikachu and Zekrom art from those same tins looks a lot better. But it doesn't look bad, I guess. It just looks kind of okay, but I do own that. Here is a Trainer Gallery Centiskorch V that features Kabu. Here is a Regigigas V-Star. I remember pulling this out of the Regieleki Crown Zenith box. It's probably my favorite Crown Zenith Altar I own. I have this Zeraora VMAX. I remember pulling 2 of these cards. It's a pretty cool card. It's not my favorite by any means, though. We have this Lucario V-Star that everybody owns because it came on the front of the Crown Zenith Elite Trainer box. We have this cool-looking Clay Drapion card. I did not pull this, but I believe I purchased it for about $2, and that's a steal. This card is pretty cool for $2. And then we have all of our Scarlet and Violet All Arts. Starting with Paldea Evolved, we have 3, actually. Wo-Chien, we have Quaquaval, and Ting Lu EX. Would you believe me if I told you these were from the same opening? These were from different tins and boxes respectively, but I went to GameStop one day and I bought 3 different products, and I got 4 alternate arts out of the same products, which is wild. I got the Wo-Chien, the Quaquaval, and the Ting Lu, as well as that Honchkrow V I showed you just a few minutes ago, out of the same day, which is nuts. Also, the very next product I opened, when Obsidian Flames first came out, I got this cool-looking Reverum EX alternate art. It kind of has the Team Star style to it. In the Zapdos EX box, I managed to pull this Giovanni's Charisma alternate art, which is a very cool card because it does feature Persian snuggling up to him. We have this Altaria EX, which is another card that spiked in value pretty recently. This was from my first time ever opening Paradox Rift. I opened an Iron Valiant ETB. That's on the channel if you wanted to go see it. I have this Salvatore, which is a pretty nifty looking card. It's very interesting for sure. It's a very complicated style. That was from a Temporal Forces ETB. This is the Kingdra that came on the front of the Shrouded Fable box. Those 2 boxes, the Kingdra and Greninja, are some of my favorite products Pokemon has ever done. And this Kingdra is just so pretty. We have a Terapagos EX. This was from a YouTube short pretty recently. I just opened 1 pack from GameStop and managed to pull, still, the most valuable card in the set. It has dropped to around $80, but that's still an $80 card. And I pulled it out of 1 pack from GameStop. It was like my first or second, I believe it might have been my 4th technically, because I opened a 3-pack. But it was one of my first packs of Stellar Crown. I managed to pull that. This is from a yet-to-be-released video. This Hydreigon EX, spoilers I guess, is from the Surging Sparks Build and Battle box. If you're watching this in the future, that should be up on YouTube. If you're watching this when it comes out, you'll see me pull this next week. My reaction was pretty good. I freaked out a little bit. That is a probably $500 card. Now, I did not open any of the Neo Genesis, Neo Revelation, whatever set this from, sets. But this is a first edition Shining Mewtwo card. It's not in the best condition, granted. It was sitting in a binder by itself, unprotected, for probably 20 years, give or take. But I was just given this one day. One day, my uncle, my lovely uncle, just gave me all of his vintage cards. I showed you those earlier. Again, timestamps are in the description if you skipped that and wanted to go see it. In that was a Shining Mewtwo, and I did call dibs on it. I did lose out on a Platinum Charizard because I did Schoolyard pick my brother for it, but this card is way better than that card anyway, so I think I got the better end of the deal there. So yeah, that is probably my most valuable card here. Technically, if I got it graded, probably some of these might be like 10s versus this being like in 7, probably. So those might be more valuable, but to me, this card is the most valuable. And at the very bottom of the tin is an original base set Venusaur Holo. Give or take, this card goes for maybe $200, especially in the condition it's in, probably a little less. But it was from the same uncle. Let's go, uncle. Yeah, I just got this card for free. No openings required. So maybe one day if I ever get into grading, I can tell you what 2 cards are getting slabs for sure. But for right now, somebody who doesn't want to pay the frickin' $60 per card or whatever to get these graded, they're just going to sit in top loaders, protected in this tin for now. I am hoping to upgrade this at the very least to an ETB because they do have room to wiggle around in there. Hell, even when I threw it over, it might have damaged it a little bit. But for now, these cards sit happily inside of my tin. And that, my friends, is my entire collection. Not only my entire Pokemon card collection, but in the intro of this video, I also showed you most of just my general stuff. Like my plushies, my figures, stuff like that, my coins, my pins. So, yeah, that's all I have. I really hope you all enjoyed this video. It's definitely something different and something that took a lot of work to do. So let me know if you'd want to see something like it in the future. And it's not the end of the video because... So that was my 3-hour video for my 3-hour anniversary, which I assure you was definitely planned and not thought of last minute. But since you're seeing my beautiful face, I'm here to just say thank you. Thank you for watching my content, even if it's just a little bit. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Going into 2025, we will do basically more of the same. I'm expecting to get 14 Smash Times out, as well as more Pokemon card openings. Obviously, I'll do the new sets when they come out. I'll do more tier list videos. I just did that every alternate art Pokemon card ranked. I want to do more videos like that because you guys really enjoyed that one. I would also like to do more revisits, so more live stream videos where I go back to old, maybe more obscure games that not many of you've heard about that were from my childhood. And yeah, more live streams in general would be great. There should be a Creative World video in June. For the most part, 2025 should just be a normal year for Smash Time. So for right now, thank you all very much for watching this behemoth of a video, which was also just a nightmare to make. This video, I don't know if you know what day this is uploaded. This is like the middle of December. My 3-year anniversary was in the middle of, I guess it was more the end of November. November 29th is my 3-year anniversary. It's, December 16th when this is uploaded? Something like that. So this video took me a solid, 2.5 weeks to edit, which is pretty crazy. And to finish filming. I wasn't even finished filming on the 29th. So this video took a long time. I hope you enjoyed it, even if you just watched a small part of it. I still appreciate it. But for right now, thank you all very much for watching. Remember to take care of yourselves. Mental health is important. I'll see you all in my next video, which should be out in 2025. So I'll see you all next year. Also, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And yeah, bye.